channel everyone, my name is Jaegers, and I just did a video about EM. And to pair with that, I'm going to be reacting to a deep dive into Eren and Historia, a ship analysis of Eren and Historia. It is a thick manuscript. It goes into the nitty gritty. I have not read it yet, but I'm excited to read it and debunk it and react to it. This person put a lot of effort in. This is a very detailed analysis, and I'm told it's one of the best ship analyses out there. And honestly, I am going to leave that alone because I'm not going to make a ship analysis on EM. The Eren character analysis is taking long enough. So we're going to be jumping right into that. Beforehand, this is a serious big brain conversation, and this is why I'm such a good AOT analyzer right here. Yeah, colding. I take this, and this helps with brain function. So we're getting serious now, so I'm going to take my pill, and then we're going to go right into the ship analysis. Alright, with the pill taken and the article pulled up, we are ready to go. So, this is an in-depth analysis of the relationship between Eren Yeager and Historia and Attack on Titan. I'll be delving into the relationship, covering absolutely everything important to the pair, be it foreshadowing. Okay, so this person is coming from the perspective that this was the end game, and then Isayama dropped it to appease to shippers, which is not true at all, of course. Be it foreshadowing moments where the stories interconnect, etc. Where the stories interconnect, etc. Which will explain how Eren and Historia could have easily been canon. I completely disagree. The much needed evidence will all be provided from the story in AOT's edition, such as side stories and aids by Isayama. Totally fair game. Now, when I'm debating my opponent, this is why I have pre-debate. We do a lot of pre-debate. Before I have a debate, I always have a conversation beforehand, or defining terms, or we're figuring out the schedule, the format, and I would sometimes ask them, hey, is this kosher to use in debate? Now, I use Lost Girls. You obviously have to use school casts, but yeah, I definitely. So this is totally fair game to me. I'm the type of guy to say, oh, you can't use the song, you can't use the visuals, you can't use the Lost Girls. No, this is all kosher to me. So I'm totally fine with this. The analysis is written to prove to many that Isayama actually managed to give them very proper development. This is the thing. I really need people to understand this. Development is extremely overrated. I really need people to understand this. Development is about the end game. The end game of the story is to send a message. That is the sole purpose of the story. Period. Full stop. Plot twist. Character development. Story development. Music, animation, that is all completely and totally secondary. People worship development like it's end all be all. Sometimes development is not the right way to go. It's just not. I can't think of it. Obviously I'm saying Mikasa is a great example of why development, if she was a developed character, the story would literally not work. You might as well be able to just set the Attack on Titan on fire. Because if Mikasa's the well-developed character, the story doesn't work. Because the story is sending a message about love. So, if Mikasa was a developed character, we get no Ymir King Fritz, and we get no Mikasa Eren, and we get no John Mikasa. That all gets set on fire, and a third of the story's message is just completely lost. Right? So, I just want to mention that because a lot of people say, oh, if the ship is better developed, if Eren is better developed, it was a better ship. No. If it follows the theme of the story, it's a better ship. Not if it sends the right message, it's a better ship. Not if it's better developed. And I'm not saying about that. Development's great. We got great developed characters like John, Reiner, Eren gets developed. Backwards and forwards, still gets developed. Yeah, character development is great, awesome, but it is definitely not the end all be all. And when you compare it to like EM, which has obviously less development, but it's more central to the themes, versus Eren and Historia, which is more developed, but it's actually central to the themes, guess what? The development loses 10 times out of 10. Listen to it. Despite Chapter 139 debunking this ship, he puts that in quotations. Like, come on. He debunked it. I mean, I debunked it way before that, but yeah, I debunked it. As a long analysis, I meant to shed light into the ship and explain why Eren and Hisu didn't exact out of nowhere. I totally agree. Again, I said this a bunch of times when we were trivia about me. I was an Eren Hisu in the last arc, so I totally understand why he didn't come out of nowhere. but could have easily been hidden in plain sight, like one of the instruments Mr. Things he says around a very Annie using our recall people time respectively, and the answers points on the walls, etc. If you're one of those who hate the ship, please avoid this analysis. Sorry. I wouldn't say I hate the ship, per se. Do I hate the ship? I think I have to depend. I have to think about it more. But I'm not going to avoid the analysis, because I love to read this type of literature. I want to see, why do you think the way you do? The main problem with the EVs is that we do not understand our opponents at all. I see so many stupid takes from AOR. Oh, the Hope Chats want this and this to happen because of this and this. No, you're wrong. You simply don't understand Hope Chats at all. You don't do any opposition neutral. You don't understand anyone. You just hold up your side of the L and you just do whatever you want. Giant circles work. But I want to read this because I want to read this even though I don't like this shit, because I want to understand where it came from, and I am searching for the truth. I've made that no mystery. I'm searching for the truth. If EM was bad, I will say it. I said over and over again about 139. I said over and over again stuff that I didn't necessarily say, but it's true. My entire career is based off of discovering the truth. Okay? So, if it is true that Eren and Historia is better, then I would love to see some evidence. And plus, who doesn't want a good story analysis? I'm sure half of this is going to be fake and false and hate canon and misunderstand the story, but a decent chunk of it, and it's the long manuscript, is going to be great analysis, so I'd love to see it. So I'm not going to avoid it, I'm sorry. I'm sure you have better things to do than to actively seek out things you hate. That's completely untrue. You should actually read the stuff you hate more. This is another thing, easy to understand. You should read more ending haters than you read ending defenders. When I discovered Brown's Magic, I was actually excited. Yeah, believe it or not, I was excited. I was like, oh, great, another ending hater to listen to. Excellent. I cannot wait to understand. I'm dead-ass serious. I'm not exaggerating. I'm supposed to look like a better person. I was 100% serious. I was seriously very excited to see her. I wanted to see this perspective, and I wanted to see why they hate OT. If you're one of those who are generally curious, feel free to stay and say your curiosity. Okay, thank you. Alright, and okay. Contrasting, okay. Setting the stage, contrasting, yet awfully similar backstories and mirrors. This should be interesting, because right off the bat, we already know how Eren's parents are awesome, Historia's parents are terrible. I don't know, Eren didn't have any siblings, he did not have any siblings, and Historia did. So I would really love to see what the background is in this. Eren and Historia did exactly start being friends, which we learn was mostly due to the fact that Eren disliked Historia's fake persona, Krista. These two, in fact, don't even interact before the start of the Uprising arc. But it didn't necessarily mean we cannot start from the beginning. Characters grow through experiences, and writers know that in order for a character to connect with other characters and have a unique bond, they need to have either similar or contrasting experiences. Okay, so a common trick psychics use is called the rainbow ruse. So a psychic will come to you and a psychic will say, you're very controlling. You like to control your environment. You like to know everything about your environment. While on the other hand, you also like to be free and spontaneous. You like to explore the world with your eyes closed, to fly by the seat of your pants. That was a very obvious example of not a trained psychic. But you just have two things that are the opposite, and so of course one of them is going to be true. So this person says contrasting or similar experiences. Well, guess what? There's nothing else besides contrasting or similar. It's either the same or it's not, or it's contrasting. But you can do this with literally every character. So literally, Eren Reiner, Eren Berthel, Eren Annie, you can just go down the list and say, okay, this is either contrast or similar, so checks the box. Contrasting experiences serve well for characters because a character could provide what the other is lacking. And this, I actually, especially as far as shipping goes and like actual relationships, I think that this is actually the preferable. I mean, this is just my opinion. I mean, I'm not like 20 years married or whatever, or anything serving, but I think this is the better, just my personal opinion, it's better to have a contrasting so that you make up for the opposites they have. For example, that's going to be too long. Let me just continue going to the ship. This appears to be the case between Eren and Historia, who even if starting off as opposites, are effectively on the same kind and share similar values. I agree, which is why I like Eren and Historia better. While rereading Tia asked about things that caught my attention when it comes to certain characters that share a close bond with Eren and Historia respectively, as well as the seemingly contrasting backstories almost So it's two steps as a step for them to collide perfectly in the upright track. Eren and Historia's mother both died on the same day. Did it while Mario falls. Okay. In Historia's case, she's sent by her father, so when her mother, Alma, is killed by killing Akira, she gets drafted into the military, the new name, and gifted to her by Rod Rice. She has no home to return to and must live in hiding. And obviously we have the panel here. You could possibly want to read that. In Eren's case, he's very much loved by his family, although he didn't know how to appreciate it at the time. Interesting. It's almost as if this is a running theme in AOT. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So in Carlos Ema's Smiling Titan, Eren's words Revenge of the Titans. These are not correlated. Fueled by grief and rage, he had a home to return to and a family that loved him, but was taken away from him, and he joins out of French. I paraphrase there with the message. Another panel. Again, pause if you want to read it. I'm sure you're well acquainted. I'm the last guy who's going to be doing all these like recaps. Both of them joined the military for a different purpose. One is fueled by death of his loved ones. The other is trying to survive because she was shunned by her loved ones. I think this was a deal, if I remember correctly. Actually, let me go back to the chapter. No, it's not there actually. Oh, is it there? I'm way too far away from my monitor to read that. So anyway, I'm pretty sure it was a deal that she made. I don't think that she was doing it to survive. I think that, like, her father told her she had to do that. The idea of a family appears to tie them both right at the start of the story. Again, Mikasa is the most family-oriented. In fact, if you look at the character attributes to the characters, they will have like special ones. So like, I'm forgetting, but forgetting. So they would have like increased intelligence, strength, whatever, and then they would have like an extra one that goes like specifically for that person. And Mikasa's one that's specific is just for her. The attribute instead is just for her is love for family, which surprise is a 10 out of 10. So talking about the idea of family, that fits Mikasa way more than fits the story. Let's continue. The idea of family appears to tie them both at the start of the story, and there's a contrast between them, loved by his mother, hated by her mother, which is made abundantly clear. First words he's already great, versus, I can't see this, but this is pretty sure she says, wish we were never born into this world. See this right here. This is another thing. This is a great example of contrast that I did not know in the story. This is why even if someone is 70% wrong, that 30% that you didn't know, that 30% extra analysis that you could have gotten, that you wasted because you didn't like the ship, you wasted it. So now because I'm open-minded, because I read everything, now I get this wonderful little insight, even though I disagree with the ship. So yeah, this is a great catch here. Excellent. Bravo, Isayama. And what did... I can't read it, my monitor's too far away. Alright, so last words. Eren Mikasa survive. Hers is civilian born to this world. The comparison of the first and last words to the mother's Carlos says that Eren is special and he should survive, while Historia's mother hates her and wishes that she was born. This doesn't seem important to some of you, but these are two life-changing experiences. Happen to both characters at the same time, which I find interesting. I think that it's at the same time on accident, just by coincidence when the walls fell, that's when Kenny had to show up. So I think it's actually a coincidence and not meant to be thematic. But the words, the line, the dialogue, however, I think are actually definitely supposed to be on purpose. The chain of events also brings them to meet as cadets. That's true. If Historia was accepted by her family, she would have gone with Ron to hide, and quite possibly both of them would never cross paths. Frida and Armin. Now I said that Eren didn't have any siblings, and I was in the back of my mind thinking, okay, well, Frida could be Armin, and yeah, here we are. So Frida is apparently the Armin character. Okay. Both of them had a lonely childhood. I would disagree with that. Right off the bat. Historia has been severely bullied by kids her age. Was she severely bullied? I don't think she was severely bullied. I think she was just picked on. I don't know about severely bullied. Maybe. I mean, it's been a while since I read Uprising arc, and the last time I consumed Uprising arc, I watched it, and obviously watching is an inferior way of consuming it. So maybe she was severely bullied. I don't remember her being severely bullied. And had never left the farm socialized because of it. Because of her controlling parents. And meanwhile, yeah, wasn't she being bullied because she would never leave the farm? Anyway, I think this is very small nitpick. Eren had never made any friends because being considered as an outcast due to his bratty behavior. Fortunately, the two of them both had a person who inspired them and gave them joy. This was Frida in Historia's case and Armin in Eren's case. He actually met Mikasa first. And that I know for a fact. He met Mikasa first. So Mikasa, if supposedly Mikasa was never his lover, then Mikasa would be his first friend. In which case, Mikasa would be in the Frida role, and then this whole ship analysis just falls. At least this portion falls apart. Frida was a person who was responsible for Historia's Christa's persona. Let me read that again. Frida was a person who was responsible for Historia's Christa persona. Because she had shown Historia a book in her childhood which inspired her to act like the girl from the book, who was kind of was thinking of others. The book in question represents a girl offering an apple to a cloaked figure, represents the devil in that moment, is also shown as the beginning of the Ymir's backstory in 122. But I'll open that can of worms later. See, this right here, which she will open up later. This right here, the Ymir stuff. I think this is the stuff that actually is some of the best parts. We're trying to ship Eren and Historia. The whole reason why Eren and Historia doesn't work is because of what happened. Mikasa's relation to Ymir. So if we can somehow say that Mikasa's relation to Ymir was retcon, and that was originally supposed to be connected to Historia, then you're on the thematic. So now you're doing away with petty things like development, and now you're talking about the actual important stuff like themes, right? And so now that's now a compelling argument to me because it's more logical. So I'm excited to get into that, and I've seen many propaganda posters of this comparing, the Historia to Ymir, and we will most certainly talk about that later. And Armin, he's doing a juxtaposition. Armin showing Eren the book and giving him his character, and then Frida showing Krista the book and giving her character. Again, another great catch that I did not catch before. Very nice. Armin, on the other hand, was one who sparked Eren's desire to be free. No, but that's a slight misunderstanding of the story. Will it come back to bite us? I don't know. And is ready to the situation that other people thought the walls are forced to be in. This came from Armin showing him a book about the outside world. Again, great catch. Great juxtaposition. Was it on purpose of yams? You never know. The story is so dense you can never tell. I think you remember that before that, both Historia and Eren were content. No, they were not. I'm pretty sure Historia was not content. Oh, I'm just been disproven. There she is. What is she saying? Oh, what have I done? I went this way. There's no one can ask. The work helped me forget my loneliness. Yeah, I don't think she was content. You just mentioned how she was quote unquote severely bullied. And then she said that she had to cope with her loneliness. Eren was actually a perfectly fine individual. He had a loving family. He had a bed to sleep in. He had food to eat. He had places to go to. There was no issue with Eren. Eren was fine. Historia, on the other hand, I don't think you could say that she had a content child beforehand. And see, this is again a slight misunderstanding of the characters that explodes into this whole thing, which is why I keep preaching you need to understand the story perfectly. Or I hate to say it, or this might be just dishonest to try to force something. We're trying to make a story's childhoodly content to match with Eren's, but in reality, that's actually untrue. With the introduction of Frida and Armin, both of them were pushed towards something. Again, I like where this is going. This is a great pickup, a great juxtaposition. Of course, I can't read this. I actually memorized these panels, so maybe I don't have to read it. Eren talking to Armin how he inspired his strength, and Historia wanting to thank Frida for being there when she was alone. Yeah, and the panels are gone, but yeah, that's basically what's going on. Now, you may have noticed I've inserted the image at the beginning of the entire section where Historia and Eren and Peter were daydreaming. Pointed out they were living quite normal yet boring lives. No, they were not. Historia's being actively oppressed and persecuted. What do you mean? Like, she was actually in a horrible family. And she said that the farm work helped her forget about her loneliness. So she had a loneliness problem that she coped with occasionally by farming. Eren had no such issue. He did whatever he wanted to do. He had a great family. I already mentioned that. This feels long enough for everyone. I don't want to make it longer. Okay. Before being introduced to Armin in a story as case remembering Frida. The way that Eren talks about Armin's dream, chapter 73, it almost appears that Eren would have been living aimlessly if it was not for Armin appearing and ranting about the world outside the walls. Well, I don't think it appears that way. I think we have from school. Well, we know what happened if Armin wasn't shown Armin's book. As Eren said about Historia, was unaware that she was unable to leave the farm because of Frida. During the moment of hesitation where she was brought to inject herself with a tiny sheriff, Historia recalled her sister yelling at her across the fence. Hey girl, you're gonna try the good deed, aren't you? Did I just tell you to cross the fence? What chapter is this? 52? 66? Yeah, see, so she's imprisoned in this farm. As I said, she couldn't leave the fence. The kids weren't bullying her, so she didn't leave the farm. What happened was that she couldn't leave the farm, and so the kids bullied her. Yeah, see, right here. I stated that Hester had been bullied, and her reasoning for not leaving the farm was because she considered other children dangerous. This is before her memories. Oh, that's what happened. Okay. I see what's going on here. Okay. Right. Okay. Got it. See. One of. I don't get into that. Yes, the author cleared up this whole misconception with the kids bullying her, not leaving the farm like she actually didn't leave the farm. Okay, good. Curiously, it almost seems like Frida was making Historia stay in the farm and not cross the fence, certainly for Kenny and Rod to find her later and to begin her new identity. This is something which I find particularly interesting, seeing as this moment was removed from the anime. Yeah, guys, listen, if you for some reason watched AOT up to season 4 and decided you couldn't wait and then read the manga, please, I implore you, please read the Uprising in the manga. The Uprising was completely butchered in the anime. If there was something interesting hiding behind the reason why Historia was forced to live on the farm and never cross the fence, we don't really know, considering there's no explanation for his actions so strangely. But this is a classic case of inciting the incident and its curious stories kick off in an extremely similar way. I would agree. You know, also a lot of juxtaposition and contrasting. Reiner. Do you think that he wants to? I just did the joke, but I think where I creepily whispered to the microphone. Do you think that that Eren wants to marry Reiner too? Or here we go. It's possible that in good, well-written stories, lots of characters contrast and mirror each other for riveting writing. That could just be me. Maybe if characters mirror or contrast with them, maybe they're all romantically interested. In which case, AOT would be a giant orgy. All this aside, though, the way that Eren and Historia are always there to reveal something about the mysterious world of AOT is something quite noteworthy. Freckled Ymir and Reiner. As I've pointed out, we have parallels between these characters. Going to the military brings Historia and Eren to two people. And by the way, there's a very good reason, a thematic reason why Reiner likes Krista. Going to the military brings Historia and Eren to two people who will, in the future, sadly betray them. When did Ymir betray Historia? All for the sake of character development. Freckles, Ymir, and Reiner Braun. Didn't Reiner also betray Historia? This is what I'm saying. This is very strange how they're... See, when you begin to construct stuff under shaky premises, probably it's the wrong ideology. Let's continue. Both Freckles, Ymir, and Reiner are characters who are from Marley and completely understand Historia and Eren respectively. Reiner is a perfect mirror of Eren. I wonder why they aren't romantically involved. And Freckled Ymir of Historia. Yep. As cadets, it is Eren who approaches Reiner first, asks about training, while Ymir approaches Historia. They both form close bonds with them, and later on, they are betrayed in the same arc. When exactly does Historia get betrayed? Doesn't she not get betrayed? I must be tripping, man. The first one who witnesses the betrayal is Eren in chapter 42. Historia is also betrayed in chapter 42. Eren mentions that. While you may retrace Historia near the end of the Clash of Titans arc by not staying by her. Oh, that's what you meant. Okay. Okay, by not staying by her. I don't see. That's not really betrayal because she was originally going to use her, right? But then when she saw that Eren had the good coordinate, she realized, oh, there's a future inside the walls. So let Historia be inside the walls. She was originally going to use her as a bargaining chip to get to negotiate a position with Marley because she stole a Jaw Titan. So obviously Marley was going to feed her to somebody, and so she wanted to bring a person of royal blood to incur favor. That would have been real betrayal. Instead, she sees Eren has to coordinate, and it's like, oh, there's a future for the walls because we can do the rumbling. And then so she lets Historia go there, and she leaves, and then she sacrifices herself. So this is definitely very much stretching what quote-unquote betrayal is. And again, not to mention, for the third time, the entire 104th was betrayed by Reiner. Why not? Okay. Effectively, Amir also serves as an antithesis to Historia. Yes. Or foil, or whatever. Well, they have the same arc, but while Reiner served... Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Reiner served... as an antithesis to Eren. And so both of these characters do a lot to push the story and one step closer to each other. How are you extrapolating that? You're saying, okay, still, assuming this is true, and this is true, what means that they get pushed closer to each other? Just all of that means that it does the development. What is this? Is the pin fallacy? Is what this is called? The pinning fallacy? I forgot, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about. I think it's called the pin fallacy. Yeah. Of course, I'm not saying that this is their only purpose. Of course not, yeah. Things can have multiple purposes. I totally understand that. And not everything has to be about them both, but in the cyclic stories such as A or T, the experiences of Historia and Eren go through are perfect to bring them closer to one another. I think that's a big fallacy. That's what I think. The moment in chapter 46, which I have to mention, considering just how bizarre it is, and considering just how bizarre it is in context and with context, is Eren getting pissed off at Reiner's breakdown. When he mentions Mary and Krista. Oh boy! Oh man! This is funny. I'm trying to maintain a level of respect because this person really put their heart and soul into this. This is genuinely very well done. So I don't want to mock this person too much. But this is hilarious. While Freckle Ymir, the girl who wanted to marry said girl, stays conveniently silent. What's terribly funny is the fact that Eren tells himself that he's just presence emotions minutes before this, and yet only stops Reiner's weird rant for saying this particular line. Well, what are you mad about, Eren? Did I seriously hear? If you want me to kill you, just kind of say it. Okay. Most people have said this shouldn't be taken seriously. No, I don't. No, see, I was talking to the person, the great Hope Chat who recommended me this. He said you had the most unique takes of any OT fan, which I didn't really notice. But now that I'm starting to think about it and see it, I'm starting to see it because a lot of ending defenders, they're poor quality debaters or poor quality arguers. Honestly, I'm gonna keep it in a $1.50 with you guys. They like that Eren Mikasa got confirmed. They want Eren Mikasa to be confirmed, and they don't really think too hard about the story. And so most of them aren't like real ending defenders. They're imposter ending defenders. They don't actually like it for the right reasons, you could say. And so when situations like this come up, all I can say is foolish. It's like, oh, you could have taken it seriously. It should be taken seriously. No, I have a very simple explanation for this. What happened was that he just betrayed them, murdered them, and then he's talking about marrying one of his victims. And so Eren is angry at him because he's doing that. It'd be like if you're in Iraq or whatever, and you know the U.S. military is mowing through you, and then he sees some girl in one of the Muslim ladies in the channel like, oh, I should marry her. I should marry her. What do you think as a POW, as an Iraqi POW? What do you think you're gonna say to that? Of course you'd be mad. Of course you'd be angry. I want you to be angry. What a strange, what a strange thing to go. This is very, very simply explained. If you would have said this about anyone, he would have had the same reaction. Because he looks like he's, I mean, without the context of his mind being split, it looks like he's like mocking them and has zero remorse and empathy whatsoever for the heinous action he's committed. And so of course that's why he gets angry. Of course he'd be angry. How wouldn't it be angry? Let's continue. Then it was not that crystalline that got Eren Show's teeth. No. If any defender says this, you should dismiss them immediately because they have extremely poor debating skills. Because this is a very easy connection to make. It's just that, yeah, Reiner was yapping about the promotion of the scouts, like he just had straight up fought with Eren a couple hours ago right from Eren snap. Maybe people failed to notice that Eren had silence things still at Reiner's long rant, and just speak at the second mention first of being into him, which was like a lot of sentences of fourth essential crystalline. Yep. Okay. I know. He stays mute at Reiner droning on and on about the events which had happened before he revealed himself as the traitor, yet snaps when he mentions the girl being into him. He could have easily just stayed quiet to that as well, right? Hadn't he said he must suppress his emotions, he was doing quite well considering he made silence for the entire Reiner's rant, which already outlined something that was wrong with him. We know that Reiner's romantically interested in Historia, though this did come from the split personality forming of a man skillfully island warrior. I'm not going to really know why. All that aside, though, both Freckled and Reiner play a very important role to Eren in Historia's teenage years. As I stated, they've served as an antithesis of the then underdeveloped Eren and Historia. Ymir's betrayal leaves Historia alone to be back to her true, disinterested, boring self. Ymir's betrayal leaves Historia alone to be back to her true, disinterested, boring self. Okay. Reiner's betrayal leaves Eren in some need of encouragement because we see him struggling to take on the weight of the information he picked up after his fight with him. Eren will be looking for his own afterwards, having cycled in his character since the beginning of the story without managing to change a thing, and that is when the Uprising happens and everything starts to slowly come into place. Like Frida and Freckled Ymir were in Historia, Armin and Reiner were in Eren. And let us not dwell on the fact that Reiner, Freckled Ymir, characters which share clear parallels with Eren, are both interested in marrying Historia. Okay, thank you. Uprising arc. Isayama had been carefully preparing these two characters to meet properly. Had they? Had he? I guess. Yeah, I would say so, yeah. And it isn't that noticeable, most because they're being fed new information about the story every chapter or so. Very true. There's a lot going on. If you go back and reread the manga, you will see how each step Eren and Historia, take time manages to get them to complement each other. It's better emphasis what I'm saying. Take chapter 50 as an example. Oh, you mean the Eren naked chapter? Even if Eren and Historia won't interact properly until 3 chapters later, both of them go through the same experience in the very same chapter. Historia scolds Freckled Ymir for thinking about saving her while caring about herself, while Eren manages to save Mikasa. Yeah. And the third Quark for being ripped apart by the Titans. Funny thing is that this chapter opens up with Carlos scolding Eren about being reckless and telling him he's a boy and should act like one by protecting Mikasa. Which I think is very unfair because Mikasa is just biologically stronger than him, but I'm not going to talk about that. I get a story complaining about freckled Ymir's tendency to disregard her life. They were keeping the story secure, and her instead directing freckled Ymir to live for herself. Yeah, great juxtaposition. Excellent. That's perfectly fine. That's great, even, and I'm glad that you're bringing this up. It has nothing to do with romantic involvement, though. I mean, what I could draw many parallels between Annie and Mikasa. I guess they're interested in. Albeit not on the same scale as Eren and Historia, but you get the principle. As we all know, both freckled Ymir and Mikasa have strong feelings for Historia. What? As we all know, both freckled Ymir and Mikasa have strong feelings for Historia. And Eren respectively. Okay. And both would easily give their lives to them regardless of any consequences. Historia and Eren practically go through the same situation, having the ones they care about them to sacrifice themselves for them, uncaring the consequences in their own life. Carla worries to Eren about Eren acting like a man for once, are answered with Historia standing up to protect freckled Ymir by telling her to live for herself first, while Eren follows soon after and stands up for Mikasa by insinuating that he will always live because that they will always live. Let me read this again. Because this is very on the nose. And stands up for Mikasa by insinuating they will live because he'll always be there to wrap the scarf around her. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it there. Moving on to the Uprising arc now. Historia and Eren's first real interaction happens precisely at the beginning of chapter 51. I'm sure most of you remember the ominous panel cheese in volume 13. I actually don't. I own the token bar for this, but I actually don't. The description of Historia is saying Eren lets her outside the wall, and it's a nice cheeky comment on the side. She holds the key to the world's greatest mystery. Oh, I just remember. Yes. This is certainly one interesting way to kickstart a new arc of your story by stating to your audience one of the side characters has always been an extremely important puzzle piece. Yep. So is Keith. I guess. You know, if I think hard enough, I'm pretty sure there was a Keith preview at like volume. What was it? Maybe it's 17. Maybe it's 18. There's a Keith panel. I guess everyone's involved too. The story introduces herself by her real name, and it was Galantis when seeking help from Eren in order to get freckled Ymir back. What could be considered of interest is that Eren doesn't stop to question what she is talking about, but instead is insinuating that Historia lies down because she's injured, and even notices freckled Ymir cares a lot about Historia, which is strange considering he wouldn't realize his hate just crushed on Marvel later on, and also the 51, who still got at John's outburst when it comes to Mikasa. It's all, I'm pretty sure that Mikasa and Eren also had an interaction in the same chapter, injuries, but we will leave that for another time. Come on, where's the Mikasa panel? You're not gonna show it, are you? It is soon revealed to us that Historia was actually descendant of royal blood, and that Eren and her are being hunted by the military police's anti-personnel control squad whose mission is to capture them. Historia is of royal blood, and is the only heir left to the throne, and Eren, aside from the attack tie-in, also carries a stallion tie-in. Interesting that both of them represent a hope, are presented as a form of hope for humanity now, right? You know what's presented as a form of hope for humanity? Levi. It's never presented as hope for humanity. I want to see, I know we set it up, but I really just want to get into, because all this is just great, like, story writing contrasting and mirroring characters. I want to see where the romance is, because the whole thing about Eren Hayes is that this is well developed. So it's something where I would never ask an EM to show me explicit evidence of the ship, because that's the point of the ship. But for you, it's supposed to be this very well developed, very great ship. So I would love to see where is the very well developed, explicit romantic interest. I'd love to see it. So all I'm seeing is platonic relationships and great character writing. That's all I see. But I know it's just the beginning. I'm gonna give him time. I'm gonna give him time to cook. We're not even a third of the way into this. The two of them find themselves alone in a cabin. This is just getting so ironic. In chapter 54, and have a heart-to-heart, Eren confesses that he hated the Krista act because it seemed forced and natural, telling her that he liked her better now because she was a girl who was stupidly honest, all while having a weird grin on his face. Yep, we remember. But what comes before us is important, despite them not even interacting, is that Eren noticed a lot of things about Historia. He also knows a lot of things about Annie. Go back to his monologue about Annie. I guess Eren and Annie was a big thing back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. She's been like this ever since we returned. Back then, the first night we spent there, I guess that was the only time she really talked to us. Eren noticed that Historia had been acting reverse ever since she told them about who she was. Okay. The moment leading to their heartfelt conversation was Historia waking up from a dream of Frida telling Eren about it. And from a dream of Frida and telling Eren about it. Eren, as we know, has been having dreams as well. And has a vision about the same person Historia was dreaming in the chapter 4. Both aren't aware that their dreams/visions are actually memories. Alright, they just hang on. Eren has a straight-up conversation with Historia, and afterwards and looks a bit nervous doing so. Oh, I guess he's nervous, so it must mean he's romantic. I will then direct you to chapter 6, where Eren is nervous and blushing around Mikasa. I guess it means he likes Mikasa too. See, we can do this all day. We can just play. And we're gonna be here for a while, because this is a very long article. And seemingly to us, entertained over the situation of the two of them, were in the Syria core and risking the lives for them. The attempt fails, and Historia starts staring at him quietly. Eren then, instead, opens up about what was bothering him and decides to apologize to Historia for feeling as a tie-in. Okay. Awkward listening leads to honesty. Alright, man, her fault too. Now it's very strange that Eren cared that much about Historia's relationship with Freckle Ymir, because the two of them rarely even talked before. For him to feel the need to be responsible about it, even apologize. Eren was apologizing to her, someone he barely even knew, being unable to reunite her with Freckle Ymir. Remember, Eren and her had a short conversation in chapter 51, and Eren was also there when he learned of the experiments for fools in chapter 53. Eren didn't mention his frustration of being unable to achieve the results to anyone, but let his mouth run loose to a person who he hadn't known at all, hadn't known over a person to a person he hadn't knew at all over his close friends. Fun fact is, Historia will remain the only girl Eren opened up to. Okay. I don't know what you would call it, chapter 51, chapter 50. That seemed to be opening up, but hey, man. I mean, he's the only girl he's opened up to. That would be the only person we see Eren opening up to about going rogue and turning on to his friends. No. Oh, okay. So now we're getting to the good stuff. Now we're getting to the more the sort of like the romantic piece. Like, oh, you open up to very awkward, right? How cute. Okay, now here, let me please express you. Eren and Historia are both incredibly selfish evil people. Now, while the rest of the alliance is obviously evil, Historia's selfishness is completely and totally unparalleled. The only person who's as selfish as Historia would be Annie, and Annie has the vested interest in Marley surviving. So who could he go to support the rumbling? Oh, it has to be Historia. He couldn't very well go to Mikasa, could he? Mikasa was against the rumbling. So he had to go to Historia. He needed a Jaegerist, and so she was an incredibly selfish bastard who valued her friends over the rest of the world. She was a perfect candidate for the job. So that's why he told her. Also, fun fact, he did not only tell her, he told the flock as well. Where's the flock barn? You know why. Where is it? He opened the flock as well. He did this the entire time. I'm using this word. Don't reduce this word. This entire time, 1:30, all it is, it shows him manipulating everyone. He manipulates manipulates Yelena, manipulates Zeke, manipulates the story, manipulates Flock. All of this. Why? So they can raise the result of Mikasa's choice. And risking everyone's life while doing it. The only person whose life he didn't risk was Mikasa. I mean, obviously we're using chapter 131, which is after this shit is already been killed. But I'm still gonna use it because by this point, you already saw the future, and so at this point, it's already canon that he used their lives. Okay. So why is Eren suddenly pouring his heart to Historia? I mean, he suddenly... Which when he barely knows her. Well, we can only guess it's because it's actually hard to put... Well, we can only guess it's actually isn't that hard to put them together. If you've been paying attention to our protagonist. Well, okay. Eren hasn't been able to come to terms with his mother's death. And had told himself he needed to be strong in order to protect the ones he loves. He had thought it would be easy to protect people after he trained hard until no other kid unable to do anything. As I mentioned, he's using entire powers. Yet with those powers are held in the end when Han is influenced by Italian. This is again a great conflict Eren faces in this arc. True. Rapidly losing belief in himself due to failing to see a person be greatly cared for. Yeah, so this my mind goes off. This is just let's talk about how they're more similar and how Eren was opening up to her. And a highlight from this is that he did say. Anyway, there's a paragraph where the author says that Eren has never opened up to a girl like he has to Historia, which I would agree with, of course. And but what's interesting is that while they are sharing the same problems, like them both being insecure and how they're the same, Eren said the same thing to Reiner in 100. Right? So to use that sense to bring up some sort of romantic involvement is strange to me. Now, okay, so then we're gonna go to the cave scene. Now I've said this in the beginning, the very beginning, where I said that's a slight. We're talking about chapter 72 and 73. It's a slight misunderstanding of Eren's character when we brought up Armin's book. And I said it's going to come back to bite us later, because this to me, this right here is why Eren and Historia doesn't work. Because what Eren needs, is Mikasa, a person who finds the beauty in the cruel world. He does not need an enemy of humanity, right? What he's lacking is Mikasa's personality, not Historia's. So, I think this right here is exactly why their shit doesn't work. Now, I might be wrong, which is why I'm reading this. Maybe what he needs is an enemy of humanity wife. Maybe. I highly doubt it. And I'm pretty sure your misunderstanding of Eren's character is going to play into this whole notion. So, this is exactly what we came for. This is what we all thought of. So let's hop right into this. And he's bringing me a Yama interview. Okay, great. So, I'm gonna read this, and I'm gonna get an interview of my own. All right. So the reason Eren emerged from the abyss was Historia after all. Is Yama responds with, "My own entire existence, from my birth to the day I die, has been determined by my father. I think that it's amidst this despair that Eren witnessed Historia, with this situation goes to his own release herself from a blinding spell/yoke, known as Rod Rights, and made up his mind to face his duty. You could say he finally understood what he himself had to do." Okay, so we got an interview from Isayama. Excellent! Let me point you to another interview with Isayama. This should be interesting. I wonder what it is. Oh, what would Eren be most unhappy with if he lost it? Well, that would be, when we talked to Isayama, said Mr. I'm not gonna pronounce that, wrote the script. He asked me, isn't that Mikasa? Interesting. So the thing that Eren would be most unhappy is what I keep saying, Mikasa's completely separate from his friends. There's Mikasa and his friends. What he'd be the most unhappy with is both with the, and funny, this is a script writer for the anime. It was Mikasa. Interesting. Now, this takes nothing away from this. There's nothing wrong. These two can coexist with each other. Okay? But the problem is that you can't say that this is that. Mikasa, you can't say that Mikasa isn't the most important thing to Eren, because it is. We had an interview from Isayama and the script writer, and we have Eren gambling everyone's life except for Mikasa. And we have Eren, and we can go even further. We can go into the little stuff like Eren saying, if you want to save Mikasa and Armin, and then it classifies his story as everyone else. Like, there's everyone else. So, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that Eren loves Armin more than Historia. I think that's pretty clear. But even just the way he talks about it, Historia is in a different category. She's just, she's everyone else. Armin gets named, Mikasa gets named, and she gets named first. Alright. Let's continue. The case seems immensely important to Eren's growth of the character. 100%. But also serves to deepen the rapidly growing bond between them. Sure! This is what I like Eren and Historia. I like Eren and Historia a lot. I like it a lot because it's a time where we see a bisexual platonic relationship in anime, or in media in general. People are so obsessed with shipping characters, you can just have a platonic relationship. Anytime there's a bisexual relationship, it always has to be romantic. Oh, it's always romantic. No! You can have very good female friends who help you out a lot, and it can be completely platonic. And I think this is a great example of that. I think this is a great, excellent example of that. So what we'd have a well-written relationship with Mikasa and Eren, and we have a well-written friendship with historian Eren, which that's what we have in the manga. What you want to do is you want to take it away to have a poor female relationship with everyone in the show, with everyone in the story, and have a well-written ship. I like the former option better. Star one who stays him mentally and pushes him towards believing in himself, something which he could never find the strength to do before. Eren wanted to die, exactly the story I felt before, because of her family. Mikasa also basically committed suicide. And it's during this thing. She was willing to go and eat Eren or wipe out all the Titans. No, she was not. And save humanity. Just like Eren had sworn himself back when he was a little kid. But, now before confessing to her, she was really happy when he called her a normal girl. That's great. What pushes her to avoid eating him, however, is a memory of Frida under the influence of the will of... I just see capitalized W. Under the will of Karl Fritz. She also recalls Freckles in there telling her later life she was proud and decisive against her father, who is intent on using her. This is the sins of the father theme. Now, I'm not gonna say this objectively, but I'm pretty sure they're misunderstanding how sins of the father theme. There's another thing. I thought the same person who recommended me this ship analysis. We had a debate, and I did not have my computer, so I didn't get recorded. But it was a great debate. Yeah, I'm looking at you. What was your name? Chroniclist. Yeah. I want that recording back. But he was talking about this, and he was saying how the sins of the father thing was dropped. And what I keep trying to explain to people over and over again is that Eren has to die in order for the sins of the father thing to be done properly. The whole children out of the forest into the father thing is about ending the cycle of violence. Not by using violence to end violence, by using forgiveness to end violence. It's very strange. I might be wrong with the sins of the father thing, but I'm pretty sure I misinterpreted it, and it just seems very strange to use this. Which is present in AOT. Yes, I agree. I'll explain more in detail in the different section, don't worry. Yeah, whatever. There's lots of sections to get into. Some people think that what Historia says to Eren is a bit over the top and doesn't exactly sound like consoling him, which is why many people don't find the case to be important when it comes to it. No, I think everyone recognizes how important the scene is. Just because two people opposite gender have an important scene does not mean that they're romantically interested. Some people felt that Historia's behavior was what Eren needed at the moment. Interesting. What Eren needs. Interesting. Now, see, this is really into the meat and potatoes here. So, I'm assuming they're trying to make the argument. Okay, so Eren needs someone to push him forward to do his duty. So this is coming from the perspective of the rumbling was a good thing, and Eren said doesn't rumbling. right? So this all comes from a complete misunderstanding of the character of Eren, how he's not free, how he's a slave to his desires. And so you're saying he needs Historia, in which if this version of Eren is true, this version that does not exist anywhere, is true, then Eren and Historia makes sense. However, that is not. The rumbling was a vain attempt at gaining, so this again, personal freedom. Yes, it was an attempt at gaining freedom for Paradis. Yes, I know that. I'm aware of that. But at the same time, there's also an attempt for personal freedom, which is separate. I have to say, is separate. They could run parallel. For example, I could get $100 million deposited to my bank account. That could make it so that I'm happy. Does that guarantee that I'm happy? No, not in the slightest. So I can take care of my money problems and my happiness problems at the same time, or I can take care of my money problems and I could still have happiness problems. You see, that's the difference there. So Eren drove himself into more personal bondage by doing the rumbling, rather than bringing himself out of bondage by doing the rumbling, which is why he needs Mikasa's ideology, not Historia's. You see, now we're starting to understand why he's better with Mikasa. He didn't need tears nor empty words, but he needed a push, because it was not the time for him to whine when whining was all he ever did. Oh, so now he's a whiner. Okay, so he's whining now. Okay. If you go back and look at chapter 50, then everything should be clear to you. Oh, it is clear. Trust me. Eren was bothered by his uselessness, and he was convinced that the world's better off without him, without someone like him, and that this won't change until he talks to Keith in chapter 71. No, it changed when he talked to Mikasa. Mikasa said that she thanked him for, and she thanked him for his walk around her, and then he said he'll wrap it around her over and over and over again. A promise, and he gives a promise, and you said earlier you never opened up to a girl. I'll posit you this: you never gave a promise to any girl either. There's only one girl that gave a promise to. He gave a promise to Ryder. That was a very romantic promise. But until then, stories and words are spoken with determination, and it was helped motivate Eren to try to believe in himself. We all know this is healing. This is great. This is great rhetoric. I want to say this is great rhetoric. Historia's speech is in fact so important that Eren will actually quote it to Ymir Fritz later in chapter 122. I wonder why Ymir Fritz isn't free in chapter 122. I wonder why she's still drawing the child in 122. I wonder why she still obeys the king's wishes in 122. I don't know. I don't know, dude. Maybe you can answers. And if he wasn't as moved as you think he was, I doubt he would remember Historia's words. I think he was moved. But no problem with that. I mean, guys, you have to remember, guys. He used Annie's technique to beat Reiner in season 2. We can do this all day. If he didn't remember Annie's technique, guess it wouldn't have been important to him. Of course it was important to him, but no one's gonna prance on saying that Eren and Annie had this fun romantic relationship, except for Fox and Anime. Or for that matter, even confess to her as she stated to him in chapter 130 in the first place. Okay. As I've already explained to you guys, the main purpose of chapter 130 was purely a political discussion. It wasn't, maybe not purely, but it was a political discussion. That's all it was. That is all that was. He went to the rumbling, Historia was at peace, he needed to use her. I promise you, if Historia did not have royal blood and was not the queen of the island, you wouldn't have seen her in chapter 130. You would not have seen her. She was only there because he needed a peace to enact his plan. That's it. That's it. This is not an interpersonal, deep conversation between two lovers. Nope. It was simply the de facto king of Eldia talking to the queen of Eldia. That's all that was. That's all it was. It was a political conversation. Which is why, if you look at the anime, it's even more apparent. When she says, "What do you think about me having a child?" she looks very, deadpan and very, not very enthusiastic. Not typically how you ask someone to have a child. And of course she has that because it's not like a fun, let's have a child, we're going to raise a family. It's just strategy, it's planning, and she knows that she's going to have to bear the weight of her sins by having this child. I'm not saying that what she did to get the child was bad. Her sins are pushing forward the rumbling, and so that's why she has that face. And of course we have the Ymir stuff. Yeah, it's all well and good. Source. He puts sources. Good for this guy. He puts sources. When we already know what sources. Good. Keep it tight. Chapter 68. Eren acknowledges the story of strength and that he actually realizes the fault within himself, which he couldn't have done for her. Yeah, that's great. Chapter 70 included a heart-to-heart that leads to a compliment. You're amazing and teasing. Though you did say that humanity should be wiped out in the cave. Oh, yeah, teasing. What most people overlook is the fact that Eren could perfectly explain and understand the story's point of view, while all the others prefer Krista over Historia. Really? Is that true? I don't think it is. Maybe it is true. I don't know. I doubt it though. And are still unable to understand her as well as he should. Oh, okay. So he had to see the source for this. I'm not reading all that. Let's just say it's true. I'm not gonna. I want to get this video done as quickly as possible. Historia goes along with Eren and talks to him about the parting experience and even prompts him about Ryan Berthold. It's very interesting how fast and naturally the relationship has progressed. I agree. It's great writing. I agree. If you don't take a moment to stop and ponder about it, it's very easy for you to get stuck and get lost. That's why rereads are necessary. 100%. If you have not reread Attack on Titan, you have not watched it. Which is why I'm gathering all the clues and putting in one place. You've done that very well. Also mapping out the relationship and the progress of characters in the meanwhile view of this analysis. See, I'm getting better at reading now. I'm not reading all that. You can screenshot that and read it yourself. The orphanage Historia and Eren are now in will reappear in chapter 130. It will. Remember that this moment and what they're looking at while pondering about the doing is everything. Because everything will be clear to you once we reach the story's mysterious pregnancy. Oh, I can't wait. We're getting to the good stuff. We're going to talk about the pregnancy. Excellent. Excellent. Eren proceeds to give Historia a compliment for what she has done to her as she has cleaned the walls, making her blush. Oh, so blushing's relevant now. See, it just depends on who you're arguing. If you're arguing about Eren and Mika, blushing's completely irrelevant and means nothing. If you're arguing about Eren and Historia, oh, then all of a sudden blushing's an important clue. And then goes on to tease her because of the words in the cave. Oh, she's blushing. I got. And for my, I feel like I don't need to remind honest actors of this, but when I bring up blushing in regards to Eren and Mikasa, I'm not saying that the blushing proves it. I'm saying a lot of stuff, and then we have the blushing on top of it. Again, pretty sure you didn't need to know that if you were an honest actor, but just in case people were confused about my position. If you didn't know, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a reason why Historia said that she got carried away. It's because she was intent on making Eren feel better. If you recall, Eren was begging Historia to eat him because he believed that he never needed to happen, which of course was true. Sorry, it was true. If what Rod Rice was saying was true, he was 100% right to be eaten. And of course, after the rumbling happened, of course he should have been eaten. It's like going back in time to kill Hitler. Of course he should have been shot. Anyway. And her dramatic speech addresses Eren's thoughts with great care, even if indirectly. She basically says, "Who cares about humanity for humanity requires you to be sacrificed and not humanity's enemy? You're not in the wrong to roll this." I'll just blank this out. I think she didn't say that. She just said, "I'm an evil person and I care about you above all else." That's what she said. But yeah, totally agree. And this exact evilness and wickedness and selfishness is exactly why he spoke to her 130, because he can use that for his advantage. He took advantage of Flock's nationalism, Yelena's quest with Zeke, Zeke's affection towards Eren, and Zeke's royal blood, and then her royal blood and her selfishness, and he used all that to do the rumbling. For most of Mikasa. The world is cruel, but I still love you, Historia. Oh man. Is this Mikasa? Yeah, it's Mikasa. I refrain from mentioning this in the case segment because it's an elaboration. Because the elaboration comes from a story according to chapter 70. Her getting carried away with her speech indicates that Historia also cared a great deal about Eren. Yes, that's completely true. I believe that 100%. As she went on to ally herself with him and stand up for him against the world, even if need be in the cave, and where her speech affected Eren to an incredible amount of degree. Winners. Oh, okay. So they unironically did this, which I find to be very hilarious. They unironically used this as a point, albeit a small point. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Why is Mikasa jealous? Why is Mikasa jealous? Because Mikasa is an incredibly jealous and obsessive person with Eren, and I really hate to. If you don't, Mikasa is also jealous of Annie as well and wants to fight her. So there's that. And since you want to bring up Lost Girls, I think you already said we'll bring up AU as short stories. Let's bring up Lost Girls, where she goes and confronts Annie about hanging out with Eren and says, "Stop hanging out with Eren. And stop using the ring. It's dangerous." Let's bring that up as well. I guess Eren and Annie's relationship. This is really been an eye opener. I have to reevaluate my position. Maybe Eren and Annie are really destined for each other. So long, Armin. I don't know what you're doing. This is a small, cheeky point, but this should just be entirely thrown away. We already know Mikasa is jealous and obsessive, and she does this with every single one that he even comes close to. He could be talking to his mother, and she's so more like this. But I'm done with that. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. So, now that I'm done with breaking down the major important roles between them and the Uprising, I can finally turn to my thoughts. It must really be undoubtedly clear to you that by now, Eren and Historia are clearly connected to each other in important figures in the story. Yes, of course. As is him and Reiner and countless other characters. Long story. Fun fact: a while ago, a long time ago, when I first made this channel, I was going to do like a graph, like a diagram of all the characters that contrast and mirror each other. I dropped the project because it's going to be way too incredibly complex because there's way too much of this going on. I mean, for goodness sakes, we can do parallels. We can do contrasts between the Eren and the story and Reiner. Best of all is that they had developed naturally, of course, and that neither of the most unforced are in place. Most definitely. I've already pointed out a lot of things which are of interest, and let's not forget that Eren will grow to become a very protective in the story by the end of the Eren returns to Nashi arc. He also is protective of Mikasa as well. I know he skipped it, but Mikasa was carrying wood and he told her, I think it was Jean. Maybe my memory's deceiving me, but I'm pretty sure it was Eren telling her to stop working out. He also was trying to help her when she was injured from the cart. And of course, he wants to protect her in the last arc from Marley, yada yada yada. So of course he's protective in the story. He's protective of Armin, protective of all his friends. Straight up withholding important information that could have benefited Paris and everyone, including the childhood friends Armin and Mikasa. Hell, then we return to Historia. Okay, so I just mentioned Mikasa here. If we didn't mention it to Mikasa, there's no reason. If you didn't mention it to Historia, then why are you bringing it? You didn't mention it to Mikasa? That's relevant. Who has the right to know and decide with the information? This isn't a giant, unmissable red flag like that feeling that I don't know what it is. Yeah, again, do you really think, let's listen to this logically, do you really think that if it was Armin who got it, who was royal blood, he'd be like, oh, yep, Levi, we could actually sacrifice Armin, and we could use him to save the island. Yep, have fun, Armin. You really think that's gonna happen? You really think if it was Mikasa, be like, oh yeah, that Mikasa, go ahead, go be a baby factory. See ya. Of course not. All of his friends he loves, of course he didn't do that. Of course he didn't do that. Especially just before he kissed her hand. Just before he kissed her hand. That was before. Just before he kissed her hand. So, once he kisses her hand, he knows what's going to happen. And it's still somewhat not proven. But I am pretty sure he knew that the time curse was going to end when he kissed Historia's hand. Then you read 159, Armin says, like, that's when he saw the medal ceremony. Now, he didn't say yes or that's when he saw the medal ceremony, the fighting powers being taken away, but it's heavily implied. So it's still up in the air whether or not he saw that or not. Yes, Armin assuming Eren ignoring him. Again, chapter 159 is a mess as far as dialogue goes. That is objectively, the Armin-Eren conversation is objectively the worst part of the chapter. So that's going to be in the air until either Nappa fixes it or we just keep debating forever. But just a little note there. But he definitely has more clarity what's going to happen. He sees, I'm pretty sure he sees Hanji die. He knows Sasha's going to die, but he also knows about what's going to happen with the Rumble and all that stuff. So, and he knows that Historia's going to survive. So, it becomes more clear and less groping in the dark when he kisses Historia's hand. Keep in mind that this behavior and actions also happened before he kissed her hand. Yeah, that's what I said. Means to without any future memory shenanigans. What shenanigans? See, this is another misunderstanding of AOT. The future memories don't affect his actions at all. That's another thing. He wasn't influenced by the memories or anything like that. He just generally felt concerned about her and needs to keep it all to himself. All to do more is Historia's safety. Yep, excellent. And I use the same thing. He was before he gets Historia's hand, and this is before he had declared the situation. Before I close the Uprising arc, let me just insert a brilliant meta written by this person of an old Eren Hisu fan site titled Enemy's Humanity. Because I think people need to read it. Alright, Sins of the Flawed plus Surpassing the Faller. This should be interesting. And honestly, I would love some clarity on what the hell the Sins of the Flawed thing is supposed to be. So that would be great. The children in the AOC universe have been burned into shoulder the sins of their parents. But see, my problem is that you're just going to have their enemy's humanity. So you want Historia and Eren's children to do the same exact thing. This is why I'm so confused with the whole Sins of the Fallen thing, because I can't get a clear answer from people, because I don't know what it is, and whenever the people who bring it up are all ending haters, and they all say this nonsense about Eren and Historia, which will only perpetuate the theme that they're claiming that they're trying to break. So you see, just so very confusing. Instead of children being protected and cherished, they're used as a means to an end. Okay, or eventually pushed into a path where they will value other things in their family. Interesting. The Sins of the Father theme makes an official introduction to the series. Grisha Yeager and Rod Reese, and Instagram has been the one to point it out. Rod Reese and Grisha Yeager, as we know, were willing to use Eren as well as Zeke and the story respectively as a means to end, because they weren't strong enough to shoulder the burden of responsibilities by themselves in order to protect their family. Instead of splitting their children, they brought into this world and instead pushed them into a role by wanting them to inherit the weight of the entire world at such a young age. What? Grisha and the Yeager family. Some people claim that Eren was raised to be free of that burden by Grisha, but that really isn't the case. Eren was still shoved into a role for the greater good. What are you talking about? When his father passed a tech time to him upon his request. Upon Eren's request. Even if Eren had been truly free, he never would have inherited Grisha's attack titan. What? What? And his father would have passed it on to someone else, Keith, for example. No. Just no. I think this is very self-explanatory. Definitely not. The reason why I show the panels to point above is to point out that Grisha had decided to burden Eren only because he thought he raised him right. Let me see. What panel? Let me see. What? I'm so confused. What burden? I don't see any burden whatsoever. It's a very free reign parenting. Unlike Zeke, the duty of our family is a recurring motif in the Sins of the Father's theme. You don't say. It's almost like Eren has that same vice. It's almost like a certain someone was portrayed in that way. Oh, interesting. Specifically shown in the Yeager family, Grisha was furious at his parents had faced brutal murder and couldn't understand why they decided to battle the injustice of the Eldians were facing Marley. Thus, he started to detest his father and started to unconsciously lead towards students in the family. Interesting. This is like Grisha becoming obsessed with his duties. More so than protecting his family. That when he married Dana and had Zeke, he was shoving his son towards the back of the saber and was doing his tool, unaware that he was repeating some mistake. I don't think that Grisha. I'm not even going to talk about Papa Yeager. That's a different conversation. He made when he decided to bring Phaos on the wall in order to see the blimp. Oh, come on. He had a perfect opportunity to do that cheeky meme where he has Eren and Historia and their Aryan baby. That would be funny. Anyway. All this comes back to Mr. Yeager. I'm assuming Mr. Yeager's his dad. Who tried to push Grisha into the role of a doctor. He did? Oh yeah, he did. And accepting Marley's brainwashing about all Eldens being devils, they didn't realize he pushed his son into a danger and maybe betrayed his own family, like Grisha and Zeke. Even if Grisha gets handed a second chance to hand the family and does his best to protect them, he still perpetuates his cycle by handing the Titan to Eren. No, I completely disagree. You're completely wrong, completely untrue. You're wrong. You're just wrong. This is you trying to shoot because see, since Historia's like it and you're trying to match it, now you're shoehorning this in where you're like, oh, well, I have to find a similar thing with Eren. Give him the attack Titan, so he was forcing him. No, it's made quite clear by the dialogue, by his actions, that Grisha 100% did not force anything on him, and it's very clear that Eren wanted him to give it to him. You'll notice, after he gave him the attack Titan, he said, "Are you happy now, Eren? Is this what you wanted?" Well, LD finally said with this. Right? That's not something you say to someone after you force them upon them. If anyone's having something forced upon them, it's Grisha. Which is why he's saying, "Are you happy now, Eren?" Goodness. This is what happens. I really like doing this because I really want people to understand. When you stray away from the story, you end up having to do this nonsense where you start making stuff up. I've never had to make up any nonsense with EM. Yeah, I have been very explicit about EM. Yeah, my beliefs are perfectly consistent. I never have to change anything in the story for EM. But when people try to stray away from that, try to make Eren and Historia a thing, or try to do anything away from the truth, when they try to give them the truth in any way, shape, or form, there's always this nonsense where you have to make stuff up. Listen to you. But he does his best to correct this mistake by raising Eren right and not bothering him with the information he has. It's basically right after beginning this mission, Eren lost his family and lamented and heavily right in chapter 2, leading him to secret against the Titans. He always wants secret against the Titans. Eren is however spared from the cycle of duty/roles, which made Grisha and Mr. Jaeger make mistakes and get their sons to betray them and their family, because Grisha corrects the mistakes he had to seek. Okay. Eren is still forced to bear the burden by his father. No! This is why Candace said I had unique takes. This is why I'm the only person who actually understands what an antagonist and protagonist is, and says with 100% certainty that Eren is both the antagonist and the protagonist. Yes. This is why. This is one of the reasons why. Because, yes, you're right, he has this burden, but he gave it to himself! Yes! He's fighting against this thing. Supposedly, yes, yeah, people say, "Oh, Eren can't oppose himself." Yes, he can. Yes, he 100% can. That's why Eren's such a great character. But this, Eren asked him to. Again, if this wasn't such a famous scene, I would pull it up right now and show you how ridiculous this is. But I'm not gonna talk about that anymore. This feels gonna be way too long. Eren is still forced to bear the burden of his father, but he could easily be on the path to correct his own mistakes and value family above duty. Yes, I 100,000% agree. And this is why I say that 138 was the best possible ending for Eren. Oh, but now you guys want to lynch me because I said that, right? But for her to believe that family is over duty, if Eren did indeed love Mikasa, wouldn't 138 be the ideal situation? And assuming Eren loves Mikasa, and he thought about doing cabin, but he didn't, and he ended up piercing himself with many grievings by doing the rumbling, killing all those people for essentially no gain to himself, wouldn't he lament the fact that he never got to be with Mikasa in the first place? It's almost like this was a recurring theme. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to hold you to this. You want to believe in family over duty? I 100,000% agree. So why isn't the 138 outcome good? Why? Why did Eren, if he's supposed to break the cycle of the Sin to the Faller, if this is a theme, why did Eren have to restart the timeline twice, do 80% rumbling, and then reset it and do it again, or just 100% rumbling, and kills Mikasa in the process? We continue. The Rise family was burdened by the duty of trying to dismantle Karl Fritz's will. Why does he keep putting will in capital? Ra's frustration with seeing his entire family submit to maintaining peace instead of fighting Titans against the will of the 145th king, specifically his father, Yuri and Frida, is what leads him into desperation to have a child with a maid called Alma. The fact that Rod and Alma never loved each other, but made an illegitimate child because of Rod's obsession over the duty he didn't want to deal with himself, while Alma went along with her self-interest for money and power. Speaking of this, Quick Benjer made a video about Rod, and he brings this up. It's a very good video. I highly suggest you watch it. Alma did not want to deal with being a mother to a child. She had to have a plan, which is why she loaded the story and expressed she wished that she had the strength to kill her. Oh, this is interesting. If she wanted to kill her, how come she didn't kill her? How come she lets her live if he wants to kill her? If you know what I'm referencing, you know what I'm referencing. Rod never wanted to inherit the Titan for himself, but had hoped his children would be the ones who would succeed, anyone but himself. Unlike Eren, who isn't raised by her family, Historia isn't raised by her family out of love and is abandoned by everyone. Okay, so see, he's taking people's short memories. So now all of a sudden, Historia is completely different from Eren. Now their lives are run similar. Because remember in the beginning, he's like, oh, their lives are so similar, and it's a perfect parallel. But now we see in reality that they're not. Okay. She was abandoned by everyone, and she was raised for a purpose, picking a tool in Rod's hands, and her father never expressed any sort of love, nor understanding towards that. With the help of the antithesis of Lemire, who was coming from a similar situation to hers, and Frida, she chooses to directly go against her father, instead choosing to maintain peace and also inheriting the Valentine. She chooses to take care of the children that were abandoned, and also accepts her role as queen to do good to the people. Paradise directly working against her family, freeze to keep the people in the dark, recommends sacrifice for the greater good. What is this? An excerpt from Historia's Oath, a Smart Pass AU, which is actually canon. See a little section story for analysis for proof. Okay. Is this Historia? Who is the party you want to address, and how do you want things to be for them? Like, if you think about it, the words should naturally come out. The story listens to these words and should perceive that she should write. 7 years later, she was crowned. The oath of accession was proclaimed. I gotta get my hands on these stories, man. It's so interesting. Historia Res, here and now, have become queen. However, that was because many people, by risking their lives, have chosen it. Because they put their trust in me to make a better world. Therefore, in order to pay that for each and everyone's sake, I work. When I'm unable to achieve on my own, I appeal to people who can that different from up till now. I intend to create a world where everyone can live in their chest puffed up with pride, and in this world, almost the people and the like, there's not a single one. And so saying, if there are people who are crying for sure, I will go to their help. Poor people too, lonely people too, everybody. What was the purpose of that? We already knew that. See, this is why I'm going to start skipping these things, because we already knew this. That was interesting though. Surpassing the fall of this is another thing that I'm very confused about, and would love to have some further explanation on. Surpassing the fall literally means being better than your father. Well, Eren's kids will have a blast with that. And not bringing down the problems you have and are problems that they're too young to worry about. Ignoring expectations about your child. As we know, it was Rod's cowardice that led to the birth of Historia, to be used as a tool for his own gain, and goes to mistake with Zeke that eventually led to Eren's birth. It did not lead to his birth. Those events were not connected. You see, this event was connected. He had procured the services of this maid because of his cowardice. He didn't have a child because of Zeke. He had a child because he was married, and married people have children. And inheriting the burden, the attack titan. Again, that was Eren's own doing, but we already discussed that. Both Eren and Historia not succumb to their fathers, and instead go up in their own valleys. Historia refuses to inherit the final titan, and ended up being used like Frida, usually that's the right family, and pushes her father to become the titan, which he should have done in the first place. While Eren, on the other hand, is the one who pushed Grisha. Okay, so he did push Grisha. Okay. Into acting by eating Frida and killing the Rice family, something which he does something which he did not want to do despite it being the duty he's supposed to fulfill. Who told you he didn't want to have the attack titan? I mean, there's a sense in which he didn't, but that would be much later. What do you mean he didn't want to have the attack? Of course, he loved having the attack titan. What are you talking about? I'm so confused right now. The official closing of this theme, along with the sins of the father, is perfectly set up. Oh, perfectly set up with Eren and Historia, about Eren and Historia becoming parents to a child born out of love and completely free of any burden. Okay, so now I feel obligated to get the chapter. Now I own 130, but that would be erroneous for me to get a giant book and start reading to you. So let's get the panels. Okay, so this is how the conversation starts out though. The military police is moving forward the plan turning into Titan and beating Zeke. Now he's here on the island. Our only options to fight in peace or run away. So this conversation is supposedly out of love and romance. It started like this with the political problem. Let's continue. She says, "I know," and she says, "There's no need to fight or run." Interesting. Now, why would Historia say that if he told her the dilemma? Is she stupid? He told her the dilemma. Why should she say there's no reason for her to fight and run? What could possibly be occurring? Listen to. Where's the most reliable way to say the island is? I'll go along with it. There's no other way. There's no other way. But just up back from me, Eren. Everyone helped. That's enough for me. Infantry 2. Enough for me. He goes. He tells Flock. I guess he's since he confided in Flock. There's this Facebook meme going around saying, "Oh, Eren couldn't trust his friends, but Flock he could confide in. Flock was a true friend." She starts having mistaken. He brings this up, which I think, which we might come back to this line of dialogue later. But let's continue. And so, like, again, this is all supposed to be in the context of love. She's saying you're mistaken, and talking about mass genocide. This is all apparently in the context of a love child, right? He says, "I know, but we're going to stop to put a final end to the cycle of well, I'll say it's violence, but they put vengeance here. Vengeance for hate to bear the history and stipulation deep into the ground." Of course, this is at me being a hardcore Jaeger at this point. This is a moment where I cringed the hardest because this was the stupidest thing that can come out of Eren's mouth at this point. But that's a completely separate conversation. They want you to birth a child that can sacrifice for this island. Again, we're talking more about politics. Where's the love? They want to keep forcing children to eat their parents. I won't let them. Then they go on to talk about erasing people's memories. Okay, now let's go. Now let's get to the pregnancy part. So, Eren, she says, "What do you think when we having a child?" Okay, so if you're wondering how this happened, how we went from this to this to this, and this is all in chronological order. This conversation, there's no missing parts of this conversation. This is all in order. This is all in order. There's no missing parts. Just like with the Z conversation, there's no missing parts. How we got here, how we got from the military police to you're gonna kill people and your mother's gonna be disappointed in you to I can erase your memories to then all of a sudden the love child is it's the same thing, because she could appear as though she's compliant with the military police. So a great example of this would be like a report card. If the post office just happened to shut down, you have nothing to do with that. Like you didn't get terrible grades. The post office just happened to shut down. I have nothing to do with this. But in reality, you did have something to do with it, and you just got to the post office so that you can get the report card. But you can appear compliant, so she can't be jailed or suspicious or sussed out or anything. Why? Because she just happened to have a child. I didn't plan this. I just happened to have a child, and so she can appear as though she's not resisting the military police, in which of course she would lose to the military police, since she is just one person. So she could appear as though she's compliant and not risk anything, while at the same time not being sent to Zeke. It's a brilliant plan, and that is why this love child so abruptly gets distorted in after she says, "I can't live with myself." And he says, "Oh, you can erase your memories." Very simple. If you actually look at the chapter in context, it is very much not romantic in any way, shape, or form. It's the most aromantic thing I've ever seen in my life. And if you want to see further proof, and here's the time where Mikasa, where's Historia? Where's Historia in this? Oh, it's just Mikasa in the front and center. Okay. And if you want to go even further, you can go into the anime, where Historia has like the most uninterested looking face in the world. All right. And we are going to talk more about the military police and the baby. Don't you worry. Blatant foreshadowing of Eren becoming the father. Oh God. Yes, I know. Isayama had greatly participated in the plot thing with the Jaeger and Rice family. He was making a point that children should be cherished and free from of any burdens. He also plays Eren and Historia as candidates for a perfect father and mother of both of them. Despite being burned by the way of the world, had decided to follow a path that their families walked on, and instead care for the future. What is this? Oh. They wanted in Japanese pull for best mother and father. Oh. Okay. Completely irrelevant. This year does not really point to his work that children are the future via Yokapon. And deserve to live in a world free of sins that their ancestors committed. So your solution is to get the biggest sinner to be the father. This is why I'm so confused. Like, okay, I'm a Jaeger, so I understand that you support your own, but you're actually gonna tell me the rumbling was was completely morally fine, like there was no problems with that at all. Especially if you're talking about Eren's motivations for the rumbling, we're really gonna say that Eren's not like the biggest sinner in the entire show. And Historia, quite possibly the second or first most selfish evil bastard in the show. Are we really doing this? Oh God. And has two of his characters importance in the story purposely shown looking at children together. Does it? I don't know if you guys. This is going to be my personal opinion, but I'm pretty sure that Mikasa throughout the entirety of the show has shown that it's shown to have a soft spot for children. That just might be me. I don't know. But hey, these two people are going to be great parents. And then let's tell us one thing. Isayama is planting clues to his story, which is supposed to lead to a very clear conclusion. Eren becoming the father. No, the clues are actually the opposite. And I think we might talk about this later. If you didn't address it, I will address it. We'll definitely get back to this for sure. Eren Kruger's words about making a family because the walls in the panel falling right after Eren stealing. He doesn't want to bring him happen. He doesn't want to risk the story safety again. Again, this is a pretty in-your-face type of thing. Oh, in your face. Oh, like when Eren and Historia, when Eren and Mikasa are on the train, and it's just the two of them looking at each other, like in your face like that. Or in your face, like when she's the biggest panel here and she's front and center. Or when he enters into past and she's the biggest shard, like in your face like that. Or in your face where he says, if you want to say Mikasa and Armin, like what the owl says, he says Mikasa and Armin, and then he refers to Historia as quote everyone else, like in your face like that. I'm the wrong guy, man. I am the wrong guy. Many people dismiss Kruger's words because he thinks he's talking with Wish at the time, but forget he says not necessarily someone might see these memories later. I agree. And Master with Cream, he brought up a great announcement of this, saying that this was Eren lamenting what he did earlier and wanting, and this was just a little more close to his past and wishing he would have done that. But I love cements on the walls because notice he says the opposite of what Eren says. Everyone likes to worship this guy. All of his Jaegers to worship this guy, but he says the opposite of what Eren says in 130. He says the only way to stop this cycle of violence and the same mistakes over and over again is to love someone inside the walls. It's love someone. When Eren says is to destroy the cycle of violence with pain. So Eren's solution is definitely the rumbling, which did not end up working out for him. Kruger's solution is love. So, maybe, if I'm right here, and Eren's lamenting that he missed out moments with Mikasa, and Eren, in the future, is sending memories to Kruger so that he can see, maybe it's a warning like, hey, you missed out on love with Mikasa, why don't you, instead of doing the rumbling to stop the same mistakes over and over again, how about you love Mikasa instead? But that's just my opinion. I should do the T thing. It's none of my business. Alright, let's continue. Props to Master for that. His playing point is Eren. Oh, I know it's playing Eren. Yeah, the same Eren who didn't even name Historia. It was everyone else. Yeah, that's it. Aurora explained in length the strong bond between Eren and Historia and Uprising and provided a lot of clues that the bond runs quite deep, and I want to advise you to remind us before this analysis. Are we about the pregnancy? There it is. Okay, good. That's fine. I know what you guys saying. About the pregnancy. I am going to debunk the pregnancy nonsense. AOT post content was quite quickly to understand at first glance. 100%. And many readers succumb to the idea that are presented to them at face value that they forget that what they are reading is a blatant contradiction at times. What I mean by this is that it's easy for the story to be differently. You think that the story isn't really important to Eren, and so the time skip I'll show you later on is the only actually have giant clues in regard to what Eren cares about. Yeah, giant clues like this. This is so funny. Isayama had an obscure talent of events. He did. Following the scouts reaching the sea at the time skip was like chapter 90, he even switched the POV from Eren to Marley's aliens, and the narrative is suddenly non-linear. Yes. And dominated solely by other characters, words, and viewpoints. We have lost contact with Eren, so don't know what he's thinking or remote planning. But it doesn't mean Isayama had purposely made us blind with no clues in place. There's a plethora of clues via characters and parallels. I 1000% agree with you there. And the second you see this ground, that the paneling and the clues are important, I will eat you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Every day we're eating twice next time. I believe this is precisely his intention to confuse us to hell in order to see if we can figure out what's happening. And so there's like a split in the fandom with those who believe in the characters' words while others notice the characters' actions of the characters made beforehand in accordance with what Isayama has done. Isayama adores mystery and forces his audience to think by feeding them clues. Yeah. But also feeding them lies, creating an invisible duality. He is used to obscuring important information in the form of the lie of a character. Yep, I agree. It would be a panel to make us think what is actually the truth. 100% agree. 100% agree. One of the cool things about that is that there's times where you have like a plot twist where like people are questioning what's going on, and then later on in the chapter it gets revealed. Kind of like when we're like, oh, who told the story to get pregnant? What's going on with the story's pregnancy? And then in 130 it's revealed like, oh, Historia told the story to get pregnant, and then that reveals the twist that happened later on. If you're confused, don't worry. I'll explain more later. The reason why I say all this is because we're finally touching upon an important topic, and that is Historia's pregnancy. One of the most misunderstood things in AOT. Besides Eren's motivation, this has got to be up there like those misunderstood things ever. The following work is by user, this guy, I'm not going to pronounce that, on Reddit, who wrote a complete analysis on Historia's pregnancy. I didn't have to read it either. I'm sure it's good, but I don't have time. I have decided to just expand upon editing it because it's a very large work of hunting the panels, presenting everything while my hands. Huge kudos to them, and please go place it first up on the announcement of the Reddit account. I'll place it first up. That game I'm logged in. I am logged in. Yeah, I'll place it first up. Where's how do you upvote? I'm using. Fuck. Okay. Alright. The mystery of Historia's pregnancy. First, I see Historia outside of flashbacks into the end of chapter 107. She appears bored, perhaps tired, and is pregnant. She's not bored. Which is a shock to the audience. A faceless man soon appears. That would imply that it's a person who impregnated her. Who we know absolutely nothing about and tells her to come inside. She needs to take care of herself. Yep. Only the husband would typically do. The relationship Historia has with the faceless man is unknown as of now. No, it's not. And here we go. In peace. And I'm actually going to read this style out because it's actually important. We should have gone ahead with our plan as soon as they reached the island. We should have turned the story from time and bed into dead and oh, thank you. Instead of that, we let her go and enjoy herself and have a little brat. guess a lone Borgo can never become queen. Oh, the second episode. Following her appearances, we're giving the outside part of the explanation of pregnancy. Note that we are going to give a first-hand encounter of pregnancy from the story's point of view, or the father himself. That's because it's implied, and it's, I think we already know what the father is. It's explained from the point of view of military police with fake information. Fake information, right? Which is obviously being obscured and manipulated. These two claims are unsubstantiated. It actually appears that this is just common knowledge, because this is why I was trying to read the dialogue, because he then goes on to say that you shouldn't even marry him. In other words, information is not secure and can easily be disproven. The Eren and Historia and the unknown manuscript not shown in that main mission appears to be in a relationship, and that apparently the relationship has escalated to the point of Eren having a bastard child with that man. Queen has the right to choose her partner. Now notice, we're talking about this woman as if she's already in a relationship with him. You know what's funny? You know who we don't see in a relationship? Who we see in a relationship with Historia? Eren. Eren's gallivanting with the Jaegers trying to find Zeke. This person, Historia, is apparently already already has a partner. She already has a partner. And then she now has a child with him. And look, he's been checked out. Notice, they're always not talking about Eren. He's been checked out as he's no one's pawn. This also explains why she had to do a farmer. People say, oh, why random farmer? This is why right here. So they're obviously talking about Eren here. Obviously not talking about Eren here. It's obviously something else. This is already common knowledge. This is not up for debate. Right? So, unless you want to tell me that that Nyla is actually referring to Eren, which would be a very strange way of referring to him. But I think we all know it's not Eren. A bastard child is a child who's... I know what a bastard child is. Well, born to parents who are not married to each other. This is obviously a red flag because Historia herself is a product of two people that married each other. We know that her father had a child with a maid, and that she was not loved by her family because she was unborn. A plan which led to Historia being miserable and alone in her childhood. What happened? I thought she was content in her childhood. This is what I'm saying. Like, this guy switches up. Like, do you not remember the beginning of this where he's saying that Historia was like intent like Eren was? Historia overcame her father by telling him that she won't be used, and even broke the rights tradition of Valentine inheritance by outright refusing to inherit it. Why did she do all that to escape the sins of her father, only to repeat the same actions as Rod? That is very interesting. Now let's go back to 130. This is why I like circular storytelling with circular storytelling. This was also brought up in my debate to get lost. He asked, why would Historia do what she didn't want to do? Well, I know what's funny is that Eren, and this is brought up explicitly, is doing to other people. Right here. Why would he do what was done to him to other people if he knows what it feels like? Why would he do that? Well, of course, because he's an evil person, you see. And so, as we all know, since season 1, Historia is obviously dubious as far as morality goes. So of course she would do it again. That's the point of circular storytelling. We're trying to say Mikasa had her parents taken away when she was a kid, and then she participates in that later on. That's what circular storytelling is all about. Armin gets his home destroyed, and then what happens? He goes and destroys other people's homes. That's the point of circular storytelling with AOT, and having morally great characters. That's how that works. Especially since the action is, and secondly, as far as them being married, like they got married later on, as you can see, or they were like together. The baby grew up with a man and a woman in the house. It's not like the father just went off or whatever. It's obviously that's 1-1, same scenario. This is like an unnecessary character regression. What do you mean, unnecessary character regression? The character regresses morally since Uprising. What are you talking about? As it stores a lot of free time and time for you to marry her partner. No. The events of War Parody happen very quickly. So no, she doesn't have a lot of time. The entire point of War Parody is that they're running out of time. That's why the clock is being shown in Liberio. Zeke brings it up in Savagery or Soul Salvation. I think it was Savagery though. There's actually a lot of emphasis on them running out of time. Nice try though. And yes, I know Levi uses clock to time the attack, but still, it's still the thematic stuff of the timing right now. To marry her partner, to marry her partner, and not to put her child in the same status of bastard as herself, especially if she loved the man and had a child with him. I don't think she loved the man enough to have a child with him. And the marriage would have been would have cut off any suspicions from man peace. Further doubts and suspicions are planted into the reader's mind about the nature of the relationship with the unknown man, trying to be someone, along with his friends who threw rocks when she was kids, when they're kids. This is another complaint. People say, oh, he threw rocks. And thank you for bringing this up. I keep trying to remind people this panel. People say, oh, he threw rocks at her. Do you not remember that he worked for years? Again, look, years. Not a single complaint from this guy. For years. And what did he do? He threw some rocks when he was a kid. And so he instead decides to work for her I'm assuming for free, meaningfully, head down, not complaining, for years. Okay? So, this whole nonsense with the rocks, I need people to seriously remember that this also happened. Because everyone said, oh, he threw rocks at her. This happened as well. Let's continue. A completely disproportionate response for throwing some rocks at her when he was like 7 years old. Goodness. Does it mention apparently fell in love with? No one's claiming she fell in love with him. That's the whole point. Oh. But Eren. But this. Let's go back to 130. This nonsense. But is this romantic? Is this the girl? Is this the guy she fell in love with? This guy? Oh, but she can't fall in love with the farmer who after throwing some rocks at her. All he did was throw some rocks at her when he was like 7 years old. Works for her for years. Craziness. Anyway, and no one said she fell in love with him. She had the child so she could do the rumbling. That's what this is about. No one's saying, oh, she loved him so much that she married him. Apparently, the man she's apparently on the one hand inflicted so much trauma. No, the trauma came from her family, not from the rocks being thrown at her. That's just minor bullying. I've had rocks thrown at me because I'm traumatized. Also, she regarded so much trauma, to have inflicted so much trauma onto her that she regarded the farm animals to be her only friends. Yeah. When someone's farm animals are your only friends, I promise you, the bullies you see in the afternoon are not the problem. And consider the children to be dangerous. So she's a queen, so why go for someone who caused her immense trauma when she had other suitors who couldn't have caused her harm? A, because all he did was throw rocks at her when he was decades ago, worked for years for her, and most importantly, this right here. That's why. Oh, God. It's seemingly out of character for Sora to give a chance to a man who abused her in the past and be with him simply because he worked at the orphanage. Yo. Oh, God. He simply worked at the orphanage. Nothing special. You were completely wrong. Goodness. Manual labor, too. As you can see, he's obviously doing manual labor. This is insanity. For years. No complaint, no nothing. For throwing some rocks decades ago. This is too much. With her choice of partner, Reputation Queen is now in shambles as well. By having a child out of wedlock with someone who abused her before, she has put her queendom in question. As we see Rogue commenting, Rogue. A lowborn can never become queen. Yeah, he says a lowborn. He's appealing to her status as a bastard. Not as her gallivanting with this person. Of course, that was part of it. Ugh. Okay, so Rogue suspects that the plan that has stored a plan of plans with someone to avoid Titanization. Yeah, like exactly what we talked about in 130. and we're shown a panel of what he believed. A hooded figure, see, this is what I'm talking about. This right here. This right here was a real mistress on pregnancy. A hooded figure suspected to be Yelena is watching his story and apparently talking to an unnamed man as he appears embarrassed/nervous. We don't know what they're even talking about, and it's after all the MP's point of view. Okay, exactly. Let's read this dialogue. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's about the timing, which is why Historia lied about the due date. Why would Historia lie about the due date if it was a love child? There's no reason to lie about the due date if it was a love child. She lied about the due date because the timing was right. Now that she carries a child with a blood, our plan has fallen apart. Interesting! It almost as if this connects to 130, the chapter you guys love so much. Right here. Our plan has fallen apart due to the pregnancy. And the timing here, it's the timing. And we know in the savagery that the Historia lied about her due date. Why would she lie about her due date if it was a romantic affair with Eren? Someone must have informed the queen, and that someone is the hooded figure. Now this is the real mystery. You see, earlier, we speak of this man like it's already set in stone. He's been checked out, he's not a pawn. This is someone that, she hasn't married him. This person is spoken of plain like everyone knows who she is. Like everyone knows who she is, right? I mean, guys, they even say him. They even say who he is. He's a young man who's born and raised the same place. They say he's a farmer. Wait, is this the right chapter? Oh, wait, this one. This is the right chapter. That's the right chapter. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So they even say who it is. They say who it is explicitly. They talk about how they already know who he is. The person who they don't know is the person in the hooded figure, and they say, if she got pregnant, she wouldn't be a titan until actually give birth. Someone told you the truth. This whole conversation, this is a real mystery. This mystery gets solved in chapter 130, where we see that Historia herself came up with the plan. That's what the pregnancy is about. That's the pregnancy subplot. In any case, just missed everything I've already had to read a question the creation of Historia's pregnancy. No. What we have questioning is who's the hooded figure. The hooded figure is Historia. Historia is the hooded figure. That's what we're questioning. We already know who their father is. The father's already shown. The father's already spoken of plainly here. We've already explicitly told who the father is here. Explicitly, the father is here, and then we have the hooded figure. There's no discussion about who the father is. The only question is who told the truth and the timing. There's also great irony in the chapters of MPs speculated pregnancy as a sound argument, which we later discover how ignorant MPs truly were, how they were drinking the spinal fluid, to the way it's that takes over the specialist and crushes them to dust. When talking about the study of the story of pregnancy, we can't forget the one and only other person aside from this unknown man who's directly correlated with this, and that is in fact Eren. I've already explained in depth earlier in earlier sections how their relationship had developed quite rapidly, and how they appeared to have a strong bond openly with the people they're close to, and how they were even spent time in private. We know that Historia had cared about Eren greatly, and we know that this was mutual. In the last of what we see from Eren's point of view, he had been clear that he wasn't going to take Historia's life, and rather give his own life if he knew to change something. Yep. Okay, here we go. In regards to Eren's attitude towards Historia, there's one character who suspects he might be more invested in Historia than he appears to be. And as Hanji, even before the times give Isayama through
Hanji makes your question and doesn't answer concerns towards Historia. Okay. Just before the beginning of the flashback in chapter 107, Hanji questions Eren on what he's doing in the mirror and says that she knew he was everything was Historia, and she doesn't question why, because brings in danger after for this matter. Or for that matter, doesn't even bother mentioning Eren and Mikasa. Yeah, he didn't mention Eren and Mikasa because he had an outburst about his story because his story was the one in imminent danger. And by the time they got to Liberio, he already knew what was going to happen. He already knew Mikasa was going to survive. And if he's concerned for them, mind you, Eren's his friends, but instead he immediately signals at his story. Steering and concerned for them, the flashback starts. Through this flashback, Hanji will stare at Eren curiously when he's around his story, specifically when he when he smells and sticks up for her. It's a still action happening to Yama, but there's a reason. It's there to get the readers to think about his stories and different from story and to make them with their previous character and properly analyze the relationship and see if there was more to it than a simple friendship. That's what it was, a friendship. When the flashback ends, Hanji once again ignores the fact that he put all his friends in danger and Liberio got Sasha killed and was his following. About to kill you next. Talks about how she's in danger because of Zeke. So what does Eren do? He knows the question and saying, "Where about Historia?" Said threatens. Oh, he threatens Hanji. I was told. See, this is funny. This is what I'm saying. This hypocrisy. This. I'm gonna say this is honest. I think this is an accident where you're shifting your beliefs. So when we're talking about Jaegerberg, oh, it's Eren desperately trying to find a solution for the rumbling. Oh, Eren's trying to find a solution to the rumbling. But when we're talking about Historia, oh, he's threatening Hanji and he assaults Hanji because he loves Historia so much. I've never had to do such a thing, right? And it's not a situation where, oh, it's a nuance, it can be both. No, it can't be both. Either who's desperately searching for a solution, begging and pleading for a solution, or who's threatening her. Those are mutually exclusive. You can't threaten someone and beg someone at the same time. Oh, please, please, please give me your money, please. Like, no, you're either threatening someone or you're begging them. And I just want to point this out to every single person who insults the idea of EM. I would love for you to take note of this hypocrisy. That you cannot keep your story straight. We can all keep. Well, I can. I can keep the story straight. I can get everything straight. Can be perfectly consistent. I don't have to change anything. These people have to resort to all this stuff to make their ship make sense. The first thing that could pop up in Rita's mind that he doesn't really care about story after all. He just had another question completely and didn't get a word thought toward her. However, still pay attention to the relationship and there's a giant word they say on to try once again to deceive the audience. How? Well, Eren's duality. Oh, interesting panel. I wonder what this is going to foreshadow. Eren's been very actively protective. Has been acting very protectively with Historia, going to support a horror information event and slight possibility that she could get hurt. If we go back to 130, I don't have it up anymore. But if we go back to 130, Zeke is talking to him when he's talking to Yelena and Flawed. I don't think he's thinking about that conversation. I think it's just there to show the conversation. The fact that the story doesn't need Eren's opinion about her having a child with a man, she doesn't need to ask. She can just tell him. She knows what the answer will. She also knows what his answer will be if she's having a child for her plan, since she had to listen to him say it right to her face. What's Eren's response? See, what's Eren's response? See, this is what the Hope Chats keep telling me. What's Eren's response? It's not shown. Yeah, it's not shown because she was shown being pregnant earlier on. So if someone's pregnant earlier in the story, and then someone says later in the story, wouldn't we have a child? Guess what? We already know the answer because she's already pregnant beforehand. The answer is we don't really know yet. No, we do know. He said yes, great plan, and walked away because she's pregnant. Is that confirmed what he thinks? No, it is confirmed because she had a child. I mean, I kind of see what he's saying, but still. We must understand that there's been a time skip between the end of their first conversation at 1:30 and the start towards the baby questions. In other words, there's a gap, a missing chunk of the full conversation. No, it's not a gap. There's no gap. As I explained, there's no gap. How the full conversation went. So there's no answer to it all. Isayama has shown us time and time again, paneling is very important. Yes, kids, paneling is very important. I agree. I wish I could get the panel where she when he enters the memories, and because it's first and foremost. Yeah, see, this actually is a foreshadow. You know why? Because guess what? Guess who's having a conversation? He was having a monologue. He was giving a speech. Zeke appears out of nowhere. Zeke is not talking. In 130, Historia is talking to Eren. Eren's talking to Zeke, and Eren is talking to Yelena and Flock. So the 4 conversations are being spliced together. He's not talking. This is an actual foreshadow. This is an actual paneling. There's no paneling in 130. It's purely coincidental and just a result of the dialogue. Yeah, I know the paneling. If you want to talk about paneling, we can talk about paneling. Like, I have so many examples of Mikasa being showing the panels, even in the anime, the music. Actually, let's get that scene. Let's get the scene since paneling is important, especially since it's in the anime. It should be more powerful.
皮肉な話だと思わないか、エレン。だとしたら、男は父親に感謝している。ある意味、世界を救ったのはこの父親だ。皮肉な話だと思わないか、エレン。安楽死系。
So if you want to talk about like paneling and symbolism stuff, we can do this like cows come home, because that scene obviously, I mean, especially if you look at it in a broader context, where he's completely uninterested, completely bored with the whole conversation, but then he stays because he's trying to get ahead of Zeke this whole time, but then he actually stays and Zeke has to pull him along. When Mikasa's on screen, the music cuts out, and only Mikasa's voice is heard. Obviously, there's paneling and symbolism there. You guys don't have a monopoly on that. Most of the clues of this mysteries are often in-your-face kind of clues. Most people don't look close enough, although it's not to give an active ability to reveal. Most other simple, the idea that people you think that Eren wouldn't have done the rumbling. And wait, the most obvious example would be the idea that people used to think that Eren wouldn't have done the rumbling and found a better alternative. Even though the answers were on their faces. Oh, and he brings up this panel. Oh, okay. So he's a Geekerberg believer. Wow. Okay. That is interesting. I remember. I know if you it's been a long video, but a long series. But if you remember way back at the beginning, I said, "Oh, you brought this panel up. Interesting." And yes, he brings up this panel. So good, bravo for him. And I would agree. This panel is definitely, yeah, good for him. Oh, it's okay. So he's not a Geekerberg believer, but still, yeah, this panel's definitely like, yeah. There's this, yeah, that's true. Well, he's misinterpreting these clues, but yeah, he's right about this. They're like concepts he's right about. But he's misinterpreting the meaning. So, see, he misinterprets this. But then he can interpret this thing, and then he goes and he misinterprets the Historia panels. With that in mind, we can look at the order of the panels, and okay, I already discussed this. We can skip all this. Oh. Panel ordering, I already explained this. The there in their conversation can be considered their friend, only his friends. But given how much Eren hasn't mentioned his friends in that same conversation with Zeke, nor did any of his following thoughts show specifically, except for the brief moment when third with the bird flying towards the sun, then we should consider that there is more to this list of people who wants to live long happy lives, and cancer, of course, Historia, and the life she's carrying. Sure he cares about the baby. I mean, not close to how he cares about Mikasa, but sure he cares about the baby. 130 is his way of revealing a plot. Oh, that's not what he's saying. It's his way of once again getting the reader to question what's about Historia's pregnancy. No, 130 is meant to solve that mystery. Break down and chip away at the absolute truth, showing irrelevant the mystery of what's going on. No, the 130's resolution to the mystery. And of course, the main question that plagued all classic AOT readers is, who is the father of Historia's child? No. That wasn't the mystery. The mystery was who told the story to get pregnant. Remember how I mentioned that Levi said a story would give birth in a few months? Something she told him by extension the rest of the military? Well, she goes into labor days after the start of the rumbling. Days, me too. Yes, yeah. In chapter 130, there are only 2 possible options why this happens. Premature birth. If this is the case, then I really do question the whole point of the pregnancy subplot. Yeah, I'm not even going to read this because we both agree it's not premature. Historia lied about her due date. If this is the case, then it really implies that the unknown man is not the father, because then why would Historia lie? What? Okay, so you already talked about this, because assuming the getting the baby was to subvert the military police, why would she lie about the due date? Because as Rogue was saying, who told her to get pregnant, and he specifically mentioned the timing. That's why she lied about the due date. She lied for that very reason. The Eren characters are father, so there's no need for deceit, right? Yes, there is a need for deceit, because if she got the pregnancy when Zeke came to the island, then they would know that she did it on purpose. You see what I'm saying? Why would she need to lie if it's Eren? That's what I'm trying to figure out. They do the deed at some point, and the story tells the military her due date, no problem. Well, that wasn't the case, since she did lie to Levi. So why? What does this mean for Eren? Eren has been confirmed to meet his story on the same time he met Flock in 130, 10 months ago. I'm just going to trust you in this one. So if we align that with the Japan pregnancy timeline table, what the hell is this? This is a Japan pregnancy timeline table? Oh my god, Okay. Oh, that's what you're saying. Okay. Yes, exactly. Yes. See, she got pregnant. She got pregnant 10 months ago. Yes, when Eren told her about the plan, she told her baby had a child. Yes, this matches up perfectly. Eren is the father. When they did Eren is the father, and then they did a 130 flashback, then no, he told her to get pregnant. Oh no, he didn't tell her to get pregnant. She had the idea to get pregnant in 130, and then she went with the farmer. I don't understand. Then Historia is right on schedule, ready to give birth to another child. So why did she lie? To protect the identity of her father's baby, of course. To make her baby's father, of course. The military believes that she done a deal with an unknown man months after Eren had left. No, you're completely wrong. Completely wrong, and you're wrong because as I've said over and over again, looking at the dialogue with the military police, they specifically mentioned the timing, and the reason why she has to lie is because she has to act like she got pregnant just because she was trying to have a good time. That's it. And again, this is the time. They specifically mention timing. And so that's why she lied. So everything's into place and all doubts set aside the mind. Eren's basically a father and Eren with confirmation. No. I agree, she got pregnant 10 months ago. Of course she got pregnant 10 months ago. She got pregnant 10 months ago because Eren told her to get pregnant 10 months ago. 139, the abandonment of the pregnancy subplot. There was no abandonment. The pregnancy subplot was concluded in 130. As you may have noticed anything before, I've been writing seriously as far as pregnancy and Eren's involvement. How long did this take to write? This must have taken months. Along with Eren's involvement in it, like chapter 139 doesn't exist. I've been doing so because I considered the final chapter a completely different entity from the rest of the chapters Isayama has written. Okay, I think that 130 is a completely different chapter, so I'm just going to remove it and not consider it. How does that make you feel? Isayama has written spectacular chapters to great, to good, to average, to mediocre, to bad. I disagree. He's only written great chapters except for 139. 139, however, are on a different level. I agree. That's because of Betchy Show on Magazine. Blame them. It's their fault. From the tonal distance, not even gonna discuss that. I'm not even gonna discuss that. Where's the end of the parentheses? I don't want to read this garbage. From the tunnel distance to the abandonment of themes. The themes are capitalized perfectly. We're talking about. To the character assassinations, to the choppy dialogue. Yes. There's no abandonment of the themes. You're a clown. There's no character assassinations. More clown. There's no tonal dissonance. No more clown. They lack any sort of flow to specific words that were used and try to justify some change in the character to inform the plot point. It's important. Two chapters were named in a way instead of chapter 1. The two chapters were named in a way just instead of chapter 1 and 122's titles. There are many other ways that 139 is bad as well, but there are many posts and essays that explain them. We can talk about Astro's pregnancy. So what happened to it? There are only 3 specific scenes that convey where the mystery of her pregnancy went. The mystery was solved in 130, as I've already said. It turns out that Eren had feelings for Mikasa all along, which begs the question, why now? Well, I believe you talked about a theme about duty over family earlier in the day. Maybe that's something to do with it. Why now? Isayama had Eren's conversation at 1:30 to make Eren's think about Mikasa. All he needed was one panel. He had strong feelings for her. Well, he indicated it. If you want to talk about paneling, he indicated it right here. There you go. If paneling is all that matters, there's a panel right there. Just use one panel. There we go. Instead, Isayama uses to focus on a pregnancy subplot and alert to the idea of Eren being heavily involved in his first pregnancy. No. You misinterpreted that. What he actually used it for was to conclude the pregnancy subplot by explaining who gave her the idea to get pregnant. As so many characters are not getting any of Eren's insights towards Mikasa. Other than the vague "what am I" to you. Oh yeah, other than that, then we got no insight. Seeing him explode thought Mikasa finding love is not. That's not his, and it's a complete and total whiplash. Well, it gets whiplash, yes. But I swear I'm gonna keep, I don't care how many people get in me, I'm gonna read him over and over again. Yes, you know what? Honestly, plug it if you have to. If you were to take from Zeke's point of view, without the members if you were to take Zeke's point of view, wouldn't it be whiplash? The last thing he sees of his father is him all about elegant restoration, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he cares about Zeke like this. Wouldn't that be whiplash as well? Yes, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of his arc. We're talking about duty over family. That was Eren's modus operandi, just like his father. Okay, so when he realized that he actually did like Mikasa, then it all that sudden comes out of nowhere, like it seemingly did with Grisha. You see. People are gonna say, oh, well, look, he showed his repentance with Eren. I know he did, but by the time that Eren showed repentance towards what he did with Mikasa, he was already dead. You understand? And secondly, this is why me and Master Cream are saying that he says that to Kruger, so that Kruger can say it, so that Eren can see it. The time skip that shows the story and her kid with the unknown man in the background. Her kid doesn't look like he's born with AIDS. Yeah. Deficiency, neurosis for pretty much her kid. Yeah. The viewers such as Roman don't see the child as a baby. Isayama normally shows important characters. He can answer really famous characters. Surely, one of his favorite characters should get to be holding her newborn baby child. Nope, Isayama takes the time to give his child 2 panels of screen time. We're now led to see the unknown character and the... No, we're not led to assume. The military police say who the father is. Unknown character in the background are false. So, big question: why is story lie about the due date? I already told you why. A comment John made to Reiner indicates that Historia married the unknown character. Yeah, exactly. So that means that during the 3 times the rumbling, Historia's kid was considered to be a bastard for no reason. Yes, during the Wolf Parody at the Rumbling arc, the situation was very volatile, very crazy, very quick. So you have time to settle down and get married. After the Rumbling is over and the LD army gets to build themselves up and they have breathing room, then she can get married. It's not that hard. The kid was a bastard, and honestly, the kid still is a bastard, to be honest. Now she just got married, she had time to. Simple as that. Simple as that. They get to settle down, they bring them up, now they get married. She did not have ample time, that's what I'm saying. She did not have ample time. This is why I contradicted this nonsense beforehand. Because he's saying, oh, this story had ample time. No, she did not have ample time. No, she did not. She's apparently willing to have a child with. We also still don't know why she had a child with him at all. We do know why. I'm not gonna go over this over and over again. So what between the story and Eren? Well, that's the thing we don't know. Yeah, this is irrelevant to me. This is not an analysis. This is just you speculating. Why. Chapter 139 was Isama's way of saying to give on the pregnancy subplot and saying, hey, this random NPC got like for Eren and Historia is a father, not the man that's been shown to be actively involved in her safety and pregnancy and took drastic measures to make sure he didn't inherit the beast time. Wait, sorry, what? They never talked before? What do you mean Eren and Historia were what do you mean Eren and Historia were in chapter 130 or something like that? Recontextualization for if Eren was the father. If Eren was actually the father, if the conversation between Eren and Historia was completed and we saw Eren's answer, then a lot of scenes would be recontextualized and amplified. Okay. Here's the list of scenes. The biggest scene that we recontextualized is Eren's freak out at Zeke's in response to Zeke's command in chapter 121. Okay. Reiner's thoughts towards Eren, in which Eren, being a father, answers in amazing ways, cements they're really all the same ways, but there's no other reason why their life can be kept. Oh, I was referring to this because of children. Okay? Hobo, Eren's words, and add to Marley. Eren has made multiple mentions of the family. Alright, so this panel. Alright. I have more scenes in this list could be contextualized and Eren being the father, but it's supposed to raise and it's coming to an end, so I'll cut this off here. Okay. Fair enough. This is still the R. Okay, here's still the R. I mean, really dig this. Okay, bonus. John mentions that Historia acts like his mom, and Zeke claims that Eren trying to resemble their father once he meets him in Marley after a few years. Keep in mind this conversation is on the farm, and Eren and Historia is asking. Here's this conversation happened at the farm, and Historia asking a child happened while Eren was still in paradise, which means that Historia was while pregnant when Zeke made this claim. What? Funny thing about that is that he claimed before that he didn't look at their father at all. Yeah. This is true. Eren's duality post-time skip explored and what it means. In this section, by a little bit deeper into the post-time skip of Eren's actions, but further proof that Eren's extremely important to Eren. I already know that though. I believe this Eren by comparing Eren's words and actions towards his friends and towards Historia. This should be interesting. In the time skip, buckle up. This is extremely interesting. In the previous segment, recontextualization of Eren versus father, there's a mention of Hobo, Eren's attitude to Marley, and of him mentioning his family. I hope you haven't skipped it because there's important context from him at the right. I did not skip it. Falco wanders to the hospital and invaded this thing. Recapping. Falco wanders into the hospital's courtyard while thinking about doing something to prevent Gareth from inheriting the Armor Titan and giving the end. His chance comes in the form of Eren. His plan Falco will be used by Eren, but don't let this stop even thinking that Eren's words don't matter. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So you can manipulate someone and still care about them at the same time. Interesting. Because he's trying to get Falco to do what he wants, which is send letters to the story core. Oh, he's a manga reader, thank God. In fact, Eren's speech about war a bit later seems to be pretty genuine because of something, that was forcing both Falcon and Eren to continue fighting. As Eren puts it, we push on because we're forced by environment, hope, or yet another hell, pretty consistent lines. With this character is knowing the question if he's manipulating Falcon completely unlike Zeke. Yeah, just like with Ymir, he's like manipulating Ymir halfway. Let me bring your attention to this. I wonder who wrote this. You see, I said in an interview that Eren is influenced by Grisham's memories here. Where? I would like to see this interview. Is it IP grabber? That was her interview? An IP grabber? I tried to get the interview. It's IP grabber. I would love to see this interview. However, we know that the memory incursion is a cut and dry process. Basically, the more Eren encounters Grisham's memories, the more he is in turn influenced by them, open up to such an idea as a romance. However, in his work, it's not clear between Eren knew about. However, in his work, Isayama has clearly portrayed that Eren knew about care outside of being influenced by memories. I'm going to tackle it from a certain perspective in order to explain. Eren manages to recognize Falcon's crush on Gally, which is extremely strange, since the numerous instances he failed to pick up on any kind of mental interest beforehand. I thought we already mentioned those memories. Even if it was spelled out for him. Yes, we know. It can be argued that Eren hadn't actually felt romantic interest himself to notice in others. However, in the Marlowe panel above, even the rest noticed it. Yeah, 3 out of 10 wits, baby. We can understand why Jean said that Marlowe's a piece of shit. We can understand why Jean said that Marlowe's a piece of shit because Sean is clearly interested in Mikasa, but Armin, Sasha, and Connie had no romantic interest yet and managed to pick up on it. Yep, it's the 3 out of 10 wits. Maybe Eren's a close individual, or his idea of romance is simply different, and that's why he doesn't notice it. This should be good. This should be good. The only instance where Eren managed to pick up on something that actually. Also, since we're talking about Hitch, I would like to point out how come Marlowe just whiplashed out of nowhere cared about Hitch? Is that ever explained? Anyway, it may have something to do with the themes that are in the story. I don't know. Pickleson actually cared about someone's freckled Ymir in Historia's case. He understands it immediately. And like I stated in the growth uprising arc section of the analysis, Eren similarly understands the story's point of view. Why did I just write that? Well, in chapter 51, neither Jean nor Connie can figure out why Freckles Ymir knew what to do. They feel pick up on They feel pick up on that. She cared a great deal about the story's future, and everything she has done was for her sake. Eren, on the contrary, managed to pick up on it. Interesting. That's a beautiful panel. The fact that he even prompts Historia about Freckles Ymir later on in chapter 54 is proof of that. So is Eren really a clueless idiot? Yes. Or does he recognize care only in specific cases? Yes. Falco doesn't want Gary to inherit the Armor Titan, and didn't want someone who Eren cares about to face the threat of possible titanization later turn into reality. Anyone who's very intent on protecting anyone he was very intent on protecting even before he went to Marley. What? It didn't that someone who okay. I'm pretty sure I don't need to write in great length about this. All the upper moments happened before Eren's departure to Marley, considering the fact that Eren didn't manage to pick up on any of the aforementioned instances and of care, yet managed to only pick up on Franklin and Mir. In fact, proves a lot. Okay. In fact, Falco's words seemingly paint a picture of who the person is for Eren to help us recognize her. mostly because Gabo background seemingly parallels Eren and Historia. Really? Eren and Historia? Okay. Dark / light-haired and wants to hurt a Titan. Who cares about her? Gabby being the literal female version of Eren. Oh, interesting. She's a female version of Eren. Kind of like how she's oblivious that Falco loves her. Yeah, interesting. I wonder where we've seen that before. And secondly, she's a female version of Eren as far as like she's Eren in Marvel. Yeah, it's more like that theme, like the psycho violence theme, and less the love theme. With that in mind, we know Historia is also famous because she was the queen of the paradise by destroying Rod's Titan and leading the nation. And was just like Gabby. No, that's an extrapolation, and that's an ass pull. Declared that she will become the one who inherit the Beast Titan for the good of everyone. Yet Falco and Eren want them to take care of that burden. Why? Because they care about them. Some may argue this doesn't mean anything because Eren has proudly carried him up and passing on Titan and his friends. But keep in mind that someone who we definitely had a good relationship with is missing in that panel. What? Does this go to our point? I'm so confused. This is it. This is, in fact, where Eren's duality makes an appearance. If you haven't picked up on it, look back at Uprising arc section where I pointed out. I'm not going to go that far up. Sorry. Where I pointed out to you how Eren understands and even encompasses Historia on what she had to. And what he had done as queen while Armor and John are not that impressed. Each time Eren and Historia talked in great length, they were alone. I felt particularly curious. I also pointed out the great deal of care Eren has for Historia, and isn't even willing to tell anything to his closest friends with Discovery because he feared for her safety. In the Marley arc, it is even more pronounced with Eren dragging his comrades to war, which results in Sasha's death. Yes. Even if the upper panel exists. And this is why I bring up the future members, because he knows okay. First off, I think we can all agree he cares about Historia more than he cares about Sasha. And he certainly cares about Mikasa and Armin more than he cares about Sasha. Thirdly, Sasha was a math equation. You're sacrificing one person to save the entire island, right? And again, if you want to talk about the train scene, again, there's a very clear paneling there. Very clear paneling. I think I still have it up here. Oh yeah, I do. There it is. Keep in mind, Eren could have prevented it if he had told me to send Sasha, or even told me so in the first place. Yeah, great. Thank you. This is why it is one of the many reasons why I say that the future memories don't affect anything. Eren wanted to kill Sasha. He wanted to kill Sasha. That's the long story of it. It is not a story that alchemist set in stone. Yes, it is. As what you just previously have pointed to says. In fact, let's go back to 130. Since we have to go take a preschool lesson on AMT. Let's go back to 130. Oh, but it was cut from the anime. Let's go back to 130. Okay. And it was all set in stone from the start. Interesting. Okay. And then he just brought up how he didn't want to send Historia back, and how he knew Sasha was gonna die, and he let her die anyway. Even though he had memories of her dying, even though he knew it was gonna happen, he still let it happen anyway. Before you start arguing, because Eren had to get Grisha to kill the Rice family and get the Founding Titan. If he hadn't done that, he would have never had inherited the Founding Titan. Like he said to Zeke, the past is impossible is on because of you, and so we know the future can be changed and the past events can't be altered. I disagree. I disagree, but I am not going to get into this is a giant conversation that I'm not going to have. I made a post about this on my subreddit, Alien Rangers. Go check that out. I made a video about it. You can check that out as well. Again, you can look at this, and yeah, you can call me if you want to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about the time travel. We're talking about Eren and Historia. The time travel stuff is a completely separate conversation. We have seen in Chapter 138 the events which happen if Eren chooses to run away with Mikasa. No. This is speculation. And how could that... So is this guy an AoE chat or what? And how could it happen if the future is fixed in place no matter what Eren does? Yeah, simple. Eren creates an apparition. I don't understand this. We see it because Eren creates an apparition. This is not a separate timeline. This is just an apparition Eren created. Chapter 139's idea of Eren following destiny is a blatant joke and a very obvious lie. No one ever said that. Chapter 139 does not say that. The upper panel appears because Mikasa states that Eren still cared about them, yet his words seemingly don't match his actions very well. Yes, they do. And his friends soon start to question themselves. Yes, they do question themselves, and they have very interesting dialogue here. Where is it? Let me see. Yep. You're wrong. No matter how strong you were, the old Eren would always try to keep you within front lines against Titans. So you're saying he did this for us. But this time he sent armor to shut up for you and put you on the battlefield. Yeah. There's more parts to this conversation. In fact, I'm actually very pleased. I actually have this. There you go. There's actually more parts to this conversation that are important. That foreshadow 139. But the conversation was when they were on the stairs, but put briefly, when they were running upstairs, I don't know what chapter it was, but put briefly, they basically talk about how Eren has ulterior motives in what he's letting on, and he actually wants to do this. He's doing this for them. Also keep in mind, while Eren is standing there and pointing to him and dragging off the danger, Historia is safe outside of battle. Okay, that's actually true, because she could have died in the wolf parody. I mean, it's unlikely, but Eren explicitly says in 139 and they forced him to fight on the parody, not knowing if they'd survive or not. So he didn't know if Historia was going to survive or not. And she was in the middle of the whole situation. Was Eren's seemingly hypocritical behavior applicable to her? Did he break his word about not sacrificing her? He didn't. He taken action and ensured it, while his friends didn't. For his friends, he didn't bother to the same by actually telling him what he plans to do. And passive between his friends about the future and get them dark. The only people who he talks or goes with the plan are Flock and Historia. Untrue. Both decided to keep it hidden from Eren's friends. Paneling. Also worthy of mention is the upper panel again. Here's the stories missing from it. It's funny how he says to Zeke, who we know had been lying the entire time he was in Marley, that he wants them to live a long life. He's not talking to him. Dude, this right here is happening. See, this is why, like, when it's not a novel, I mean, no, even if it was novel, you're interpreting this wrong. He's saying this in 130. He's gonna want them to live long, happy lives in 130 as well. Okay, you see, he's remembering Mikasa fondly in 130, not in when they met in Marley. You see. He wants them to live long lives, but half these characters were seen. Again, so he wants them to live long, happy lives, but half of these characters are dead. Hanji and Sasha, most notably. First off, I don't think he's talking about Hanji at all. I think he was definitely not talking about Hanji. I mean, was Marlowe also included in this? Like, was Flock included in this as well? No, he's always referring to his friends, and it includes Sasha. Yes. Now, why would Sasha die? Well, it's very simple. Eren obviously cares about Sasha less than he cares about Historia, and he most certainly cares about Sasha less than he cares about Armin and Mikasa. And for the last time, he's sacrificing one person for the sake of many people. You see, if the rumor doesn't happen, then all his friends are going to die, right? Isn't that the assumption? Especially since you're a Jaeger, isn't that the assumption that all his friends are going to die? If the rumor doesn't happen, so he needs to invade Liberio, so Sasha gets killed for the sake of everyone else. You see. And yes, I would like to point out that Mikasa is the most important person to him again and again. Why? He killed Sasha, and he risked everyone else's life. The only person whose life he didn't risk was Mikasa. I see no 139. This is what people say is a controversial take, but it's there and you cannot unsee it. I tried at first, but Eren's apparent duality after touching his first hands becomes very apparent. Both Armin and Mikasa are actually questioning who Eren is and what side of him they've been seeing. They're questioning it because they couldn't. Yeah, if you look at 123, where they're questioning it, where they're questioning it, they're questioning it because they couldn't believe how unbelievably evil he was. Not anything else. But let's continue. This is a bit meta level, but if you pay attention to Insuma's words in regards to EMA, this one sounds strange to you. He stated, despite their similar ages, Eren, Mikasa, and Armin had different states of mind. Their growth might involve possible separation and opposing one another. Yep, I know. Stating he did not see Eren and Armin being friends forever. He further supports personal writing style, reflecting the concept of a fated soulmate regarding Eren and Mikasa. Other writing deals with how the two would separate, especially go to subsequent development and independence. Yep, exactly. Which is why Eren dies and Mikasa gets married to Jean. Jean-Kasa on top. Yeah, so this is why she gets married to John. Exactly. They grow apart from each other. Exactly. Yeah. With the seclusion from Eren's point of view, following the hand kiss to make Eren as mysterious as possible, it's the clear presented two sides of Eren. There's more than two, my friend. One mysterious but consistent with his character growth. The other considered to be in character before Uprising arc. So the first one, Eren and Historia mentioned about mutual understanding portraying the Uprising arc, Flock's realistic speech about the harsh reality world, and him saying that somebody needs to tell the truth about the ceremony in chapter 90, while Eren consoles Armin about their childhood dream, which he knows is nothing but a naive way of looking at the world. I'm not going to touch this. They live in the world they live as a flash of Fae is being torn by dogs, Trunks' vision. Yep. The one is considered to be in character before Uprising arc, but is in turn raises glaring plot holes and huge character inconsistencies because the world around him is not matching his words are not matching his actions. Yes, they are. And he refuses to tell his friends anything about his plan because of the story. He talked to them about everything before and cared about them. Yeah. He's developing. Yeah. Eren saying that they've been important to him, yet dragging him into danger. Getting Sasha killed. Well, that's because someone is more important. See, when something is more important than another thing, that thing takes priority. So while his friends are important, Mikasa's orders of magnitude. Mikasa is more important. Sorry. Him stating in chapter, him saying in chapter 139, they didn't even know that they'll survive. Yeah, exactly. That includes Historia because he said fighting on Paradis. I forced you guys to fight on Paradis. Not stopping the rumbling, he said fighting on Paradis. That includes Historia. Which is confirming this person wasn't truly trying to ensure survival. Yes, he was. Yes, he risked their survival because he knew the outcome would be great. So he risked them getting killed, knowing that Historia, that Armin would be free of his Titan curse, Mikasa will be saved, everyone else will be saved because of the Marley invasion, and he will have her Titan taken away. So will Reiner, Connie's mom will go back, so on and so forth. He didn't just risk it for no reason, like, oh, I hate my friends, I'm just going to risk their life. And no, he absolutely risked Historia's life. He 100% did. And in his work, SCI clearly outlined that Eren's actions and words, which was decided to compare Eren's actions and behavior towards his friends in the story in the first place, something's not adding up. And considering his development, him care for his friends, and is pretended to be not so true from our perspective. I'm in no way saying that Eren and Mikasa were his friends before. He really did and still does. But unfortunately, it's making a choice between them and doing best for Paradis for the outside world. Yeah, exactly. So what he does is he risks Sasha's life. Sasha gets killed for the sake of the entire future of Paradis. And I'd like to point this out again. I pointed out so many times, but I really want to hammer this home. He said he risked everyone's life. The only person's life he did not risk was Mikasa. He knew Mikasa would survive. It was Armin's dream that convinced him to seek a goal of life outside the walls and in the first place. But Eren admits he forgot about that dream. Yeah, during the Serum Bowl. Yeah, exactly. And again, another giant misinterpretation. See, I knew it. You have to predicate your understanding of Eren and Historia on misinterpretations of Eren's character. Eren's wanted to say Mikasa's life, who had gone really close to Jean. Mikasa grew close to Jean? Oh, Jean, Connie, and Sasha necessary multiple battles in life and death scenarios. Again, Eren also vows freedom above everything. He wants to live free of fighting and wishes to protect his hometown. Yeah. The reason for his change is because Eren matured greatly and lived for himself, focused on his own goals, which is why Eren's friends turn on him and go against him. Something that was able to understand him quite well, unlike a certain someone who stayed in the cave. Yeah, because Historia is as evil as Eren, so she understands how rotten he is. Mikasa, since she loves Eren, assumes the best of Eren, right? Love hopes, I think it's something like love hopes on all things, love believes all things, something like that. So Mikasa, of course, loving Eren, sees the best in him, and so she, in 123, realizes, oh shit, Eren's actually more depraved than I thought. And since Historia is as evil as him, she understands, of course. This is why some of us are confused about the betrayal of him to care about his friends in 139. No, we're not confused. We're not confused because we can hold multiple ideas in our head. We can hold complex topics. And because I know that you care about your woman more than you care about your friends. It's very bizarre to insult your friends and then later play it off by someone else's destiny. That's not what happened. Another misunderstanding. 139. That's not what happened. It certainly wasn't destined for Eren to go to that length and insult Armin at any possible level and even call Mikasa a slave, was it now? No, because nothing was destined. In the way you're saying it, nothing was destined. Not to mention that Eren also had sacrificed Sasha and Hanji. I don't count Hanji. That's nothing. And didn't even blink an eye. Yeah, he didn't even blink an eye. He was totally how Sasha died. Yeah, we're supposed to believe he cared. Yeah, we are. As seen by his reaction and by what Sasha's death brought him. I mean, just Armin's life being expanded, it was worth 2 Sashas to Eren, I suppose. I would guess. It's very obvious that Isayama was really hinting at, showing us glimpses of Eren with Flock, Eren and Historia, and then Eren with his friends. We had Eren's friends wonder about his behavior, which led to the train scene. We also had Eren's POV in chapter 130, which led us to reveal that about Eren is still coming in contact with Historia, and is in fact... So is Eren lying in his inner monologue now? Because this is an inner monologue. 130 is an inner monologue. What happened here? I thought it was a line in his inner monologue. See, people keep switching up. In 130, which led to a reveal about Eren still keeping contact with Historia, and the fact that he trusted her enough to reveal he's doing the rumbling. Yeah, he trusted her because she agreed with the rumbling. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Well, his friends apparently weren't important enough to know that. No, it's not that they weren't important. They would have opposed him, and he could have not convinced them otherwise. That's why. If went to Mikasa and said, "Hey, Mikasa, what do you think about doing the rumbling?" She would have said, "Hell no." And he would have been like, "Okay, that would have been it." Two of Eren's closest friends were locked up. Who? Confused and in the dark. Well, Historia knew everything. No, she did not know everything. I get delivered for 10 months. Why do you keep saying Historia knew everything when she clearly didn't? I imagine it's hard to guess that Eren and Historia are supposed to be allies, and Historia was, that Historia had very good reasons to put her faith and trust in Eren, despite him being horrified with what they do, and then spring the baby question. Considering I already wrote about Eren and Historia's pregnancy in great detail, I assume you already know what I'm implying. We're getting into the Ymir Fritz. Okay, we're getting into the Ymir Fritz stuff. This is going to be another very interesting part of the ship analysis, because lots of people conflate Mikasa's importance to Ymir with Historia's importance to Ymir. So this should be interesting. I'll try to be as brief as possible in this section. If you would have taken the time, that recontextualization crap, and you would have poured into this, we would have been good. I just mentioned the basic stuff. My sincere recommendation for you is to read this. Sorry, it's been like 4 hours not reading that. For a far more comprehensive look at the one I'm about to present to you. Apologies, but this is analysis again longer by the minute, and for the section alone, the analysis about the devil patching a mirror will be about 12 pages longer. That's fine. Keep going. It's no coincidence that Ymir first backstory opens up with Frida and the story reading a book with a little girl picked with an offer with apples, which is what the devil. Many people have started theorizing about the time that the story being an important piece in regards to the mysterious Ymir who's been suffering ever since her birth and trapped in past for God knows how long. We know how long. Considering this, the fact that Eren has quoted his story, its words to Ymir, and the flashback ends into the last single story of Historia being presented as Ymir the innocence. And also points to the possibility that Ymir's endless nightmare in palace was about to end, and she was about to be reborn. It's a free girl to Eren and Historia. And they say EDs are corny. And we got the propaganda posters. There are many parallels between Eren. There are many parallels between them, but Historia didn't exactly live like a slave, unlike Ymir. On the contrary, Historia had chosen a life to do what she seemed fit. And when you look at the pregnancy cycle was supposed to be about that Historia does not start as Ymir, but the parallels ends when Historia chooses to go up to go against her father. Yeah, which begs the question: if she completed her arc in Uprising, why is she still trapped in past? Not to inherit the founder and to go on to become the queen, while Ymir still falls like a minded slave. This potential is an antithesis. The song. Whoa. What song is this? Do you know this song? That's interesting. I never heard of that. See, I'm learning anything. This is cool. Linkin Park seems to confront a theory of Ymir's reincarnation. Well, let me explain to you that Revo said that. Well, actually, let me just get the quote. So, this is what Revo said about his knowledge of the future of Attack on Titan. He didn't know how Attack on Titan was going to end, and so. This is particularly talking about the A&R, but it goes for all the songs. He didn't know how it was going to end, so it's useless to decipher the future of it from the work, okay? Because he didn't know it either, okay? So, all of this, he talks about the baby being reborn. All this is completely irrelevant. I take none of this. This is all garbage. It's trash. I'm taking it. As I already said, Revo said he didn't know it was going to end, so I don't care what he said about it. I don't care what the song said. Again, songs are important. No, songs are important. The song that I didn't see you bring up was Kuma to Go, in which Eren said the world is cruel, but I still love you. I'll sacrifice anything to protect you. That's a clear reference to Mikasa. If one about paneling, we could go all day about how it refers back to, I believe it was The Great Escape? Or maybe, Beautiful Cruel World. How it relates to Beautiful Cruel World. And how Mikasa asks what we protect. And then Eren says, I'll sacrifice anything to protect you. and here's what I'm talking about that song, which was made after the manga ended. But you do have to talk about songs that are made when the writer didn't even know how it was going to end. So I just dismissed all that. Ymir wanted freedom. When we include the song, I don't care about the song. The pro-birth theme. This is strongly promoted. Yep. Excellent. Alright, school cast. Oh, we're talking about school cast. Excellent. So I assume you believe Jagerberg? School Cast is a fake series period for Attack on Titan manga, which we found from volume 21 all the way to the final volume 34. Isayama said Isayama had went ahead and said the AU were actually linked to the main story. Yes, he did. He said, "Yep, thank you for fully introduced. Yep, this is exactly what we need. Yep." So it is the character's nature. The character's nature is the same. The environment is different. So it's just if you were to plop manga Eren into modern day Japan, that's how he would act. With this in mind, we can examine it more closely. I think this is perfectly relevant. This is perfectly in bounds. We don't have much from Historia's POV in canon, especially after the time skip. But we're still teased glimpses of her. AoE. Schoolcast AU, on the other hand, is completely supposed to everything is quite interesting about Historia. I see you're walking over by your dull self yet again. I understand you're the same way, right? Everything in this world is gonna be so boring to you. I've never spoken before, but I understand. Looking at you makes me feel calm. Okay. The Queen Bee. I remember the Queen Bee theory. The Queen Bee has everything else she wants, but is bored beyond death by everyone around her because everyone is willing to hang around her side just to become popular and rich. However, she knows Eren and is uninteresting boy Eren. She understands him, even going to the forest state. She makes that looking at him makes you feel calm. Okay. Historia also goes on to point out that Eren is like an ant, alluding to the fact that it is going on with the flow of life and works for the sake of working. Okay, I'm not going to read all this. Actually, I am. So you've made some friends. I'm sure you'll get bored of all those dorks. What are you really going to stick up for those gross nerds? What are you really going to stick up for those gross nerds? However, those nerds were lying to make them feel good. You're just forcing yourself to do it. I don't really care about any of them at all. Wow, she's very, wow. The story keeps trying to figure out Eren is doing with his friend, expecting him to be alone, trying to find just for a reason. That's the same as her. She guesses at why he is with them and concludes that he'll be bored quickly and force himself to do it. In fact, doesn't care about them at all, but quickly realizes she's wrong. It looks like he likes them, so there's a lot going on there. I see I was all alone. He actually likes them. He actually likes them. She points out there's a lot going on with them, concluding the same thought that she was indeed all alone and that was boring. She knew Eren was the same as her because she had seen him before, but noticing Eren and his friends had made him with his friends he had made and with how he interacts with them. She realizes that she actually cared about them, meaning he wasn't like her. So I was all alone. So I was all alone as a point of interest, particularly because I have mentioned this section about Eren's duality. Duality. There's a very clear outline of two Erens after time skip. The way Eren sees him as the way it's presented to the story, Isayama is now mentioned again. The duality is present because the story also thinks about Eren as someone who is bored by everything. And it's the same as her. And he surprisingly doesn't care about his friends and wants to feel good after helping them. However, it turns out it wasn't the case, which is conveniently played out. Which is conveniently how it played out in the ending of canon. So Historia says that Eren's something awful to her. Hashtag me too. The fake preview for Volume 27 rumors began to spread by Historia and Eren, which leads to him being bullied, and Historia starts the scene or getting a decision because she didn't expect for it to go this far. It actually seems like she wanted the attention of angry Eren's friends who weren't doing anything to protect him in turn. Look at Hitch. It's kind of funny because she has like the same jacket style as the military. I'm surprised Hitch is awake. To appease these new rumors about his story's reputation, Eren lied by raising new rumors. What's this to do with the main story of AOT? Great question. Volume 27 is the same volume where chapter 108 took place. In this chapter, MPs are discussing Story's pregnancy and the relationship with the farmer and how it ruined their plans to handle the Beast Titan. The rumors of false accusations were raised about her and the fact that Eren, the hooded figure, protected her. Putting all that information together and doing the math, you can understand the clue and fallacy of this. It's the Eren displaying awful to Historia, plus rumors being spread by the Buffalo, plus Eren lying to protect her equals Eren had a relationship with the historian to protect her from the MPs. He raised rumors about her and the farmer. Oh, that's the point you're trying to make. Wow. Okay. Woo! Wow, that was a lot. And lied about the farmer in order to protect her. We just hinted at Historia ex-farmer's fake relationship with 139 in mind, though this isn't the case with this clue still there, plus it's a clear reference to how to kiss me. How to kiss me. Oh, okay. I'm not going to go into the hands of Schoolcast AU. I had just wanted to point out some specific cases where the focus was on Eren and Historia and how it connected to main stories. The Schoolcast AU presents the story's PV as a clue. This is a clue towards the identity of a fellow child. Her paying closer attention with it, with knowledge that is connected to my story. Things get interesting. If there's ever a sequel, we should go see it together too. What did Armin say here? So like he was able to predict it, something like that. There's so many loose ends, and I've read it. Yeah. I mean, I've read it so many times. This is just Isayama. This is you guys right here, and this is Isayama dunking on you, saying that the foreshadowing paid off. Alright, little short story for the children. Smart Pass. This is great. Where are these short stories coming from? I love these things. Oh, it's a smartphone app. Okay. The Shingeki no Kyojin A Smart Pass is a Japanese smartphone app that launched in February 2014. The app releases monthly interviews. How come I never heard of this before? Weekly stories, caption contests, missing card prizes, and other content. A full character database is also things into the app. Shingeki no Kyojin February 3 came out sometime in 2020 and featured the story by Eren Yeager, which I want to talk about. You can go check the content of the short stories 3 contained here. I'll save that for later. Okay, great. So it's canonical. Excellent. Alright, so where's the apologetic? Am I gonna have to read this whole short story? Hold on. The world is made of lies and fiction because of this twisted story made people sacrifice. From now on, what children will learn is the truth of the world and the story of the future. As such, was passed tonight. This happened until now, and this has been kept a secret. A small world surrounded by walls in the corner of the world is a farm, reorganized into an orphanage. Here, children called out to a young woman named Historia, who modestly lives as a teacher. Hey, Historia Sensei, that guy Eren can turn into a Titan. I know. He turns into a Titan in the over district. I'm taking the townspeople. Bullshit. And the house people just always dangerous. Saw next to the boys were busy. Next to the little boys were busy gossiping. A girl grabbed Historia's hand. When Eren's Titan was to eat, her voice is slightly trembling. It's understandable. When we're talking about Titans, they eat and kill people, and they're absolutely evil, as everyone inside the walls thinks. Do they eat people who he's his part behind the fight? If so, or would it be reliable? It's an innocent voice. He might still pretend to time, but please trust in him. Historia's mom quietly gazes at the spring sky. So that's what the kids talked about. The people who become soldiers at the same time as Historia came called to help at the orphanage. After the kids were asleep, while taking a simple meal, she informed them of things that she said during the day. I'm becoming good friends with the Titan if I protected one, huh? The people who joined this discussion seem perplexed. How else do you explain it? If you're thought of as an unreliable guy, I'll be told from right over the corpse. Historia nods at Sean's harsh, accurate words. Just a bit, she feels sorry for Eren. That's because I didn't want to doubt him. Sorry for burning you with that. As a teacher, the orphanage historian introduces Eren as a civil corps weapon and here to protect humanity. It is a necessary decision. She made us a queen who governs the world. I get it. Eren is seen to full understanding and lacks conviction from his face later at night. How long is this story? Do I have to read the story? I hope you digested that. The English translation will find here along with the Ross. That's awesome. He serves by the army. A story from that point on, no matter what Eren does in any event, you'll say that he's a hero potentially one. The kids here have no direct contact with Eren. They might understand now. They might not understand now, but someday they will lose their way and fall into trouble. They'll be able to understand what being human means. What I think. It serves by the John. Don't tell me you intend to tell his children the orphanage the truth that in order to connect to society, we have no ability to kill somebody as well. I think that it would not do well to forget the orphanage was a possible thanks to everyone who fought for us, because from here we fight with people from outside the wall. I think it's all right to learn that way. Not because someone fought, the present self exists. That's because there were mistakes in the past, and the past present have been corrected. Even if it cannot be understood immediately, that was fine. However, if I wanted to know, I want to put in a way that can be understood. Wow, that is long. This little story expresses explicitly Eren's viewpoint on Eren, hence why I dedicate a little section for it. As Dorian knows that her comrades and children are offered to be able to understand if they experience a situation like Eren's, who are lost in trouble. From her point of view, if find themselves not wrong, they're not killing but fighting to protect themselves. She knows that what they're doing can't be understood now, so keep because one day they'll find someone who answers Eren. That's completely untrue because there's a whole contingent of people who don't believe that, i.e. the Alliance. So she's assuming they'll think it's right. That's an assumption she's making, but she could very well be wrong. A person who cannot sacrifice anything cannot change anything. She knows she's doing can't be wrong. Because they're protecting present things that just killing people for revenge. Oh, right, okay. They fight for their own. They fight for their own lives, and everyone has the right to live. Oh, if everyone has the right to live, why are you killing people then? Okay. And Eren and the Eldians also have that right, regardless of what the ancestors have done. The Eldians and generation have this right to live. She knows that she will support Eren no matter what because she experienced the same thing as him. Holy shit. So slowly recently Eren's done an analysis. I congratulate you've made it this far. I congratulate you for writing this. It took me a long time to properly finish each section of it. It took me a long time to properly finish each section of it. I think I've been streaming this for like 4 hours now. It's been crazy. I've been as objective as possible. If that's as objective as possible as you can be, you really need to talk to more EDs. Because I don't got it. I think the author had the best intentions at heart. But this is what happens when you're in echo chambers, because you have no other interpretation. Then again, EDs are pretty terrible. EDs are really, really terrible on apologetics. So maybe he did talk to EDs, and he just gave him nonsense like what EDs normally do. And pointed out everything that is related to this suit, so it's first aspect of how they fit in, about their relationship, and hopefully proven to you that no, those two are definitely not shit that came out of nowhere. Oh, I never said that. I was an Eren Historia. Sure. And yes, Eren did care great about his story. Everyone knows that. This section is dedicated to my things that I found of interest, but aren't big enough to deserve a section of their own. I also put all together here. I'll also be providing links later on for interesting announcement videos regarding those two if you're still interested in hearing about them. Distressed. Oh, I knew it. See, this person, yeah. So this person really did the research because they have like short stories and stuff, which I really appreciate that. Lots of EDs and boomers like, oh, the short stories and the songs, they don't matter. But no, they absolutely do matter. So props on the author for finding that. And of course, when I watched this OVA, I was like, oh my god, the Eren and Historia ship is going to go crazy over this. And so, yeah. So we have this. Basically an OVA. Oh, he has blue eyes too. Basically an OVA where Krista gets kidnapped and Eren like fights like hell to get her back, and he's like so passionate getting her back. Yeah, it's crazy. The OVA is sitting at 8 and 8:48. Yeah, I basically explained it. Oh, call your name. What is very close about the soundtrack this place in this moment is Call Your Name. Yeah. Okay. Isn't the call of silence? The call of silence. forget a subtitle for this. The call your name each place. Nice. And of course we got the panels. Oh yeah. So this they love to do. It's like, oh look at this paneling. No, if I had my own propaganda ready on hand, I would show you the parallels between the Mikasa in Beautiful Cruel World and Eren in this. And again, I would love to point out that the lyrics of the song are obviously about Mikasa. Yeah, please. Oh, and of course, the mistranslation, Devil's Child. It is not called Devil's Child. You thought you were slightly hit you. Now, I heard a lot of people say, oh, it's Devil's Child. It is not Devil's Child. It is not, most certainly not Devil's Child. You want to know how I know it's not called Devil's Child? Okay, here's why. Because the only time the phrase Akuma no Ko gets uttered in the song is at the very end, where she says, and behind justice inside a sacrifice, there's a child evil inside my heart. So it's clearly not referencing a devil's child, right? There's a devil's child inside my heart. That's not what's being referenced. What's obviously and clearly being referenced is a child of evil. And that's and I don't even need to say that. That's extra on top of what I'm about to say, which is that it's translated as a child of evil. So the namesake of the song is translated as child of evil. Why oh why would you call it Devil's Child? So why are they parallel each other? Okay, so these parallel each other. I'm not gonna. This is like the oh, anything could be an album cover. This is what this is. Admittedly, I'm not looking at the entire thing, but I've looked at a few of the examples. And again, I would highly encourage you to watch my video about how Akuma no Ko connects to Beautiful World. Remember, this is the song Attack on Time Final Season original soundtrack, and it appeared as an instrumental format, never with lyrics. The lyrics mentioning coat. Oh my god! And coming back home. Yeah, so the coat. The reason why the coat's important is because of A&R, which I already told you. Revo said he didn't know about the ending. Now, I know you will not be convinced by this alone. How exactly this is Eren and Historia was spaces, but with the theory that the anime will be expanded upon unfinished product policy. Yeah, exactly. So. Oh god. Yeah, so basically the theory goes because Eren in A&R in the music video Eren has a coat, and so it connects to the coat when he talks about the lyrics. But again, as I already said, Revo didn't know the ending, so this entire thing is relevant. And then at the end, the author provided some more stuff, which I'm not gonna get into. This right here is interesting because in the original draft, he was meant to say Christopher Titan's mouth. Why are you bringing that up? Because he actively said, I don't want Christopher. I want to change that out. Why would you bring that up? Very strange. Very strange. Because he purposely made his story less important to Eren. Oh, well. I mean, and of course we know why. Because if he touched her, he would have, the memories. Alright. Oh, God. He made some videos. Oh, my God. I might react to this one. Wow. What an analysis. It said 88 minutes of read time at the beginning. I was like, oh, there's no way. I was like, there's no way it's 88. No, it's really 88 minutes. So, wow, that was a good read. Let's see. And that'll be all for me. I enjoyed reading this huge in-depth analysis. Hopefully, prove that Eren could get about Historia. It definitely proved that. I shared very deep bond in the relationship. Stirred lots of story. Yep, I agree. And points to becoming canon. There was a canon relationship between the two. I agree. And it's the complete package. I like the random mystery, well developed. Something hidden in plain sight. One of a kind. Animated manuscript. Soulmates. And serve way too much in the story of AOT for them to be ignored and ridiculed. Alright. Excellent. Okay, so my final thoughts. Okay. So, I'm going to keep this brief since this series has been very long. what I say to this is a couple of things. Eren and Historia can exist as friendship and serve all the things, right? Just like make us serve as a friend to Historia and all a friend to Eren, and all the things still be there, right? But Historia and Eren can still be friends, and all the purposes get accomplished. As far as the baby goes, the baby was clearly a political maneuver, obviously. She lied with the due date because she was trying to make sure she didn't gain any suspicion. That being out of the way, here's why Eren and Mikasa is better. Because you're operating, this entire thing is extrapolated from a giant misunderstanding. At the rumbling, Eren's doing the rumbling, and Eren does the rumbling for freedom for himself and freedom for his people. Eren does the rumbling because he wants to do the rumbling. He's trying to seek personal freedom as well. He does it because he's very uncontent with his life. And he's disappointed that humanity survives outside the walls. Yes. Okay? So with that in mind, his problem was discontentment. And the fact that he can never be content. Not that he was discontent with being oppressed. He's just disposed to discontentment in any circumstance. Which is why, in school cast, in a perfectly comfortable Western country, he decides to become the danger. Okay? This is why I bring up school cast. Only thing I gotta say to him for that was the light in the cruel. So all Eren focuses on is the bad things. He's very pessimistic. He only focuses on the bad things in his life and doesn't focus on things that make him happier. He pushes that all to the side in order to dwell on the bad stuff. Okay? Which makes him very discontent. Mikasa sees the good things, the things that brings her happiness, in the darkness. And so Eren needs that in his life, and that is why Mikasa is better for him thematically. And of course, thematically speaking for Eren, since he's discontent, he has to have a lover that he never capitalized on. That he had in the back of his head, but he never fully realized until it's too late. And I think that's what happens with Mikasa. That's why it is good that Eren and Mikasa's relationship isn't developed. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Make sure to join the subreddit, join the syndicate, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.